New Glenn is vertical, Odysseus is sideways, and Starship is down. This is NSF Live. Roll the intro.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! Orange 45!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Put that in the big bag, 343 unfolds to go. Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane would be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Yikes, you bet concur. It's NSF Live, yay! And thank you, chat. I see the 5x5s, so I know that we're coming through. I'm Jack Beyer. That's me, the guy that wears orange all the time. And you can see on screen here. Is that confusing? Is that confusing to you, EJ? EJ, we have EJ and Sawyer on. EJ, we'll start with you. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing, just running a cold open a couple times for fun.
Yeah, the first one was, just a practice. It was just a practice swing.
Right.
Yeah.
And also we have Sawyer. Sawyer, how you doing, buddy?
Good. The first one was the cold open, the second one was the warm open, and now we are hot and ready to go.
I could not agree more, my friend. So yeah, this is our weekly NSF Live in the new time slot with the new fun, exciting banter back and forth, less formal, etc. You get it. But we'll be talking about some events of the week, whatever piques our interest. Of course, we're going to start off by talking about IM-1, because how could we not, especially with the presser that just happened. But as usual for NASASpaceflight, if you have any questions, throw them down in chat at NASASpaceflight. We'll see your questions pop up in some software that we have running in the background. But let's just jump right into it, why not? And start talking about Odysseus, because we just got that press conference from NASA and Intuitive Machines, and learned a lot, including that Odysseus is not actually vertical. Sawyer,
Yeah.
Sawyer, I see you're doing a sideways look here.
I'm imitating art, imitating real life with Odysseus.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of interesting tidbits in this presser, and a lot to unpack. Sawyer, I know you were on the call, but did not get to ask a question. But basically, the three of us watched the presser, and where do we even start?
Yeah, exactly. We start by pressing *1 to get in the question queue. No, I'm just kidding. So basically, it sounds like they had two crazy things to go on. First, there was the idea of the issue with the landing laser. Based off of what they were saying in the conference and what we were able to understand from the questions that were asked, it sounds like the cover for their special experiment, or for their main range finding thing that was going to check for where it is and flat land and all of that, had a cover on it that was supposed to be removed before flight, and apparently was not on a checklist to remove before flight, and therefore flew on flight. As a result, they then worked somehow with NASA, something they said would normally take, a month's work, in about an hour and a half, to say, hey, you have a LiDAR experiment on board. Can we use 2 of your cameras to help us with the landing? Oh, EJ.
I don't know where I got that. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, continue.
Well, the other one's on the moon, even though it's a box, not necessarily a tag. But still. So then it came time for the actual landing. We did not get to see any of the data live, and then they didn't get a lot of data after it landed because of communications issues. But finally they were able to establish some form of communication, and they were able to determine that on the way down, it was supposed to go kind of sideways, then upright, and then land. However, they still had about 2 miles per hour, their terminology, of going this way, when they're supposed to just be going straight down. So that didn't help, and the reason they were able to determine that they're sideways is because one of the experiments on board was a system that was going to measure how much fuel was left inside the spacecraft after landing. And based off of where they're getting information of how much fuel was left, it all seems to be sloshed to one side, which they're indicating likely means that it's currently sitting not totally flat, but up against a rock.
Yep. So
Remember,
not vertical.
It's not a boulder. It's a rock.
A rock, a small rock the size of a large boulder. I forget what that whole thing is.
I mean, what can I say? The pioneers used to ride those babies for miles.
Oh, thank you. You're the man. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Awesome.
SpongeBob reference acknowledged. Good job, Sawyer. So that they think they know that it's sideways based on that propellant slosh situation, like you were saying, Sawyer. But hopefully, in the coming days, we will get some imagery. I believe they said they were going to try and get some imagery off the Lunar Reconnaissance orbiter. Did I hear that correctly?
Yep.
So I don't know. They're also going to try and deploy EagleCam, which I guess we should probably hit on. EagleCam was the deployable camera that was supposed to be ejected as it landed, as Odysseus landed, so we could get a third-person view of landing from it. But I guess as part of the whole Apollo 13 style troubleshooting they had to do on the navigation system, the deployment of EagleCam was, I guess, what did they say during the presser? It threw a flag so that they disabled it. But they can still fire EagleCam off and get some footage or some imagery, I guess, from it, even though the planned situation of it working during landing is not possible anymore. But that's my first question for both of you is, what are you more excited for imagery from, LRO or EagleCam? And we'll do EJ first.
EagleCam. It's EagleCam. So the lander, like Sawyer said, there was a horizontal velocity component, right? And so that means it was going a little bit sideways. Any Kerbal player knows it's going to tip, right? You know what I'm talking about. Now, what I know people are going to ask, like, why did it have that sideways, velocity, right? It had it because they just hot-wired their guidance system to work. Sawyer also touched base on that. We can talk more about that in a second. But it landed in a way that has EagleCam still kind of pointing not upright, but off to the side. So we are still going to get some third-person views of this, of Odysseus on the surface, like how we saw Slim with its head in the sand a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
But yeah, I'm psyched for EagleCam. Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, yeah, that'll be pretty cool too. But I want that third person view like what we saw with Slim.
I'm really curious, like, what the mechanism is like for the actual ejection of EagleCam. Like, I imagine it's some sort of tension or spring based mechanism that sort of spits it out. But how far away they're going to be able to get? Is it going to work? I really hope that we're able to get some cool imagery off EagleCam. But I guess both imaging products will tell us different things. Ideally, LRO can tell us how accurately they landed, and EagleCam will tell us, holy cow, this is so cool, it's right here on the moon.
Yep.
Yeah, there's that whole slight factor of they don't know precisely where they landed, too. They think it's approximately 10 kilometers off of their original planned landing target, but they're waiting for that LRO pass to get an exact positioning of where they actually are on the lunar surface.
Right. So which one are you more excited for, Sawyer? EagleCam or LRO imagery?
If I may family friendify a movie quote, $200 or get my butt kicked. I haven't had good butt kicking in a while. I'll take the $200, aka EagleCam.
All right then.
Although for some reason in my head, I don't know why, I just keep picturing it where it's going to, spring off and then just go wee plop.
Yeah, I hope the wee plop involves some good imagery before the plop, but we'll see what happens.
Sawyer, are you trying to tell me that Odysseus has posittraction?
It's posittraction.
Nice.
I'm
Is that
positive.
Nice.
Is that a oh god, what's that movie with Danny DeVito where he's a lawyer?
Nope.
No, it's not a reference. Okay, never mind. Moving along.
It's my cousin Vinny.
Yeah, there we
Vinny,
go.
dude.
Thank you. I forgot the name of the movie. It's Posittraction. That's how they spoilers.
Yeah, Melissa Tomei.
Thank you. So we really should talk about the guidance situation and how they straight up. I'm going to keep using this as a verb. Apollo 13 to this thing, like absolutely wild troubleshooting. EJ, you were saying in our Discord, like they hacked into their own guidance. So, like,
Yep.
talk us through the insanity and really like quite impressive software engineering that went into this.
That's they hacked into their own guidance system and hotwired it with a payload. Those aren't my words. That's what the CEO just said in the Intuitive Machines press conference that NASA had. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not that much of a software nerd. I'm more the hardware side of things when it comes to space flight. I know more of that. But there are a lot of that's not, like, long story short, that's not an easy thing to do. You really don't want to, if you want to push software, you got to shut it off and turn it back on again, right? You got to refresh it. Doing that while a spacecraft is orbiting around the moon at however fast it's going, and the moon being not near here, and being able to not only figure out how to solve that problem, but get it done, push the software, and then go right into landing with a hot-wired guidance system that shows some chops over at Intuitive Machines. As Sawyer was saying a little bit earlier, there was a secondary payload that NASA was testing for laser range finding, and it was optical, if I'm remembering right. And the guys at Intuitive Machines talked to NASA, and they're like, "Hey, can we borrow that for a second?" And NASA's like, "Sure, absolutely." And like I said, that's probably why it tipped over, because the guidance system was hacked. They hacked together a guidance system because their original range finding system was still tagged out, which is, that's probably getting fixed next time they go to launch. But it's still crazy. It shows a facet of spaceflight that I don't think a lot of people see. It harkens back definitely to Apollo 13 and that kind of unknowns that you encounter when you have a higher risk, higher reward mission like this. And like I said, it shows that Intuitive Machines has the chops to be able to fix something like that. It's really cool. Hearing Steve, the CEO, and Tim, one of the engineers, I think it was Chief Technical Officer, forgive me if I don't get that correct, hearing them talk about the intricacies to fixing and solving these problems, if you ever listen to what the mission control loops were doing, how the mission control loops sounded during Apollo 13, it really reminded me a lot of that. It's really cool and it's really special. This is a really, really cool mission. It's a great start to, open the door to the future lunar exploration and hopefully future lunar economy. It's really, really, really cool.
Yeah, I really think that deserves underscoring, that this is the first step through the door of commercial lunar operations. And it's a big step. I mean, it's
wild,
it's not
man.
a crewed lander, yeah, but it's a really important thing as we get into hopefully a future where going to the moon is way more trivial than it is now, and there's way better access and cheaper access, and we can send more people, and all the good things that we want to see.
Yeah, baby.
But to your point, EJ, it really, like you said, it really does show Intuitive Machines just firing on all cylinders, able to perform the swap with an experimental piece of hardware that was never designed to be used for flight critical data that they just hot wired into their system. It's truly amazing. And I think on that presser they were talking about how they had like segmented out their different teams so that there's like the team that's in mission control, and then they had like the what do they call it, team 4 or group 4 or something like that, which is like their I mean, for lack of a better term, like their red team or like their fix it guys. Just the whole description of how that all played out. Like, I would love to see a long form piece, like going blow by blow throughout those entire 12 or 24 hours or whatever, culminating in that abort once around, because holy moly.
This is the type of stuff you need to be doing if you're going to go explore the moon. This is how Apollo got people down to the surface. You need to be flexible. You need to be ready for unknown unknowns. If you want to read, if you guys want to read about this kind of stuff, Gene Kranz, who was a NASA flight director, the most legendary flight director with, I'd say Chris Kraft, like right next to him, like probably lateral shift between those two. He has a book called Failure is Not an Option. You want to read about unknown unknowns, and when you're rolling the dice like this, going beyond low Earth orbit at this point, this is how you have to be. You're going to get a curveball. It's going to happen. And it's going to be a Michael Bolton scenario. You're going to mess up some mundane detail and have a million pennies. Take a penny from the tray. But, you got to roll with the punches. And they did it excellently. This is exactly how we need to be exploring the moon. It's really special.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. And it's not. There hasn't only been the one punch of this GNC issue. There's also been the punch of, well, turns out they landed and tipped over, or they landed sideways, one of the two. I think they were saying they landed and tipped over. Is that right?
What
they don't fully know yet.
What they presumed from the data, again, they're waiting for official pictures from LRO and other things to find out, but it sounds like what happened was, since they had that horizontal or the lateral momentum still when they weren't supposed to, one of the legs got caught on something, and as a result it kind of dug itself in, and they believe it then tipped over, landing on top of a boulder.
Got it.
Yep.
Not only do they have that issue before they landed, but they landed sideways, and now their antennas are, or at least some of them, are pointed at the surface, which I think Das would argue is a suboptimal antenna placement.
And what can I say? They're trying to communicate with the aliens that live underneath the moon. I mean, what? I didn't say anything.
Dude,
leaks.
Don't tell them that.
Leaks. They're not supposed to know that. But yeah, and so that is yet another thing that they're having to troubleshoot and figure out, how can we increase the power of our ground stations to talk with it better? How can we set up a relay or anything like that? Like, just constant troubleshooting. And now there's a ticking clock, right? Because they have a max of, 9 days on the surface before they lose sunlight. And so it's like, you got through the nail biter part where you're trying to get down on the surface in one piece, and you have to do all this crazy MacGyvering of everything. But now that you're down on the surface, the show's not over. Like, now you have 9 days to get everything out of this that you possibly can. Which, whoever is working on these teams, I feel for you, and it's going to be a hard several days with very little sleep probably, but you'll get there. Thank you, EJ. Eat, sleep, launch, repeat. Yes.
That's what we need to be doing, man.
Right.
Eat, sleep, land, but yeah.
It's interesting
because, they're saying that they're getting data from some of the experiments, at least. They also got a huge amount of data on their way to the moon. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see what the experiments are able to complete. And the important fact that they pointed out is that none of the experiments are on the side that's face planted into the moon.
Very fortuitous.
How? How does this mission go this good but go this crazy at the same time? It's wild, dude.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And someone pointed out earlier, I just have to say, that I think people got their missions mixed up because Odysseus did what Slim was supposed to do, which was land and then fall on its side, whereas this one was supposed to just land upright, and then you had Slim that landed upright just upside down.
Oh boy. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Someone got their missions mixed up.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
It's like the old, we installed the accelerometer 180 degrees backwards so the rocket did bad. It's like somebody put the slim GNC software on Odyssey. Like, why? No. Anyways. We got a whole bunch of really good questions if we want to start jumping into these questions from chat. Or if
Fire
there's
away,
something
man.
related to I Am One that you want to gab about first, we can
Actually,
Jake has a
do
question.
oh,
What's the
geez.
question?
Jake's here.
Jake, what's your question?
It's Jake.
Jake?
Sorry, we don't have time to take Jake's
He
question.
wants to know what color is he?
He's orange.
It's
Blue.
orange.
No, red. Ah!
Ah! Ejects off bridge into. Yeah. Oh, I love a good Monty Python moment. Let's see here. Let's do some questions. Geared Zoo is asking, what does this sidewaysy landing tell us about Starship on the moon? How is this supposed to work? And then they threw in a yikes emoji. Oh, Jake.
Good boy, Jake.
How might
Say hi
this
to your
inform potential issues that could be encountered on a Starship landing on the moon? Because it's quite a tube,
Well,
for lack of a better
it is a tube. You are not wrong. Tube.
tube.
So, guys, these commercial lunar payload services are, I mean, amongst other things, they're supposed to buy down risk for when NASA does go to land people on the moon with HLS or SLD. I mean, I'm sure it's the internet. I'm sure people have opinions about either one of those. That's cool. These are going to buy down risk. These are low-cost ways to be able to learn how to get back down to that surface. I mean, we did do it 50 years ago, but that was a generation ago. I mean, heck, not Sawyer. What's our count on Apollo astronauts that are still around, right? And that's just one facet of technical expertise there. These missions are designed to buy down risk. These are the times where you want to do that crazy MacGyver stuff. You want to get this kind of stuff done now. So you learn. We got to learn how to, I mean, we went there before just because your dad knows how to build a table out of wood doesn't mean you inherit that skill, right? You need to be taught, and then you need to go and do it yourself, right?
Right.
My dad can make tables too, if just in case anybody's wondering.
Shout out to your dad.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. So these missions are designed to buy down risk. Now, do I think Intuitive Machines is going to share their data with SpaceX? I mean, that would probably be a good step forward. They might not. I don't think they are, but who knows? Now, in terms of Starship, well, you got to remember, the reason why Odysseus tipped over is because they hot-wired the guidance system. Think about that like trying to change the steering wheel on your car while you're driving down the... Yeah, exactly. That's not... It's not an easy thing to do. The fact that they did that and didn't crash is... What's up?
No, I was going to say on your car or your truck?
Yes.
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
The fact that they did it and it didn't crash. Like the worst that happened was that it tipped over a little bit because of a slight horizontal velocity component, and they did it on the fly and they did it quick. Well, you do get some good data on landing on the moon. NASA's range finding system on the lander just skipped 3 technology readiness levels. It just went right to, yep, nope, that works. Okay, we're going to test it. Nope, no, we're good. So you're going to buy down that risk in learning how to, get around and do this stuff. Like, once again, with Starship, I don't know if they're going to hotwire a guidance system. SpaceX has said that they're going to do uncrewed tests. Now, in terms of physically landing on the moon, I don't know, man. But I don't think it'll tip over. I think it'll do just fine. SpaceX has a lot of experience with landing long tubes back onto surfaces of celestial bodies. They have a lot of good experience there.
That's true.
I mean, I get it. The moon isn't Earth. I understand. I get it. Please spare me. But, I mean, they're going to do a test, and they're going to do an uncrewed test first, and then they're going to put people on the thing. And these Eclipse missions, once again, are designed to buy down the risk. I don't think they'll have any issues there. taking off, that might be that might be a little bit different ball game. Nobody's ever tried to have engines that powerful taking off from the moon. But here's the thing. You're going to get unknown unknowns. Eventually, you're going to get to a point where I don't know if this is going to work. No one's ever done this before. No one's ever hotwired a guidance system on their lander and landed something on the moon. The closest thing to that would be Apollo 11, where Neil Armstrong looked at the AGC when it had a stack overflow and they said, nope, shut that off. I'll land it. It's fine. Nope, shut that off.
1202.
Yep.
And to be clear, it was Buzz's fault, right? It was Buzz's fault that happened. So
he left the rendezvous radar on, and it overlooked. The computer went. I don't know what to do with this.
Buzz Aldrin L.
There's not many of those. Right?
And then
yeah, so you hit a lot of really good points, EJ. I mean, from the importance of institutional knowledge and having to sort of rebuild some of that over time, since so much of it was lost in the intervening decades since we've landed on the moon last, to Starship being the thing that won't tip over because that's what is supposed to happen now. You know, that's what all of the initial tests are for, and also the uncrewed tests of Starship. So a lot of really good points there. Sawyer, go ahead.
Another thing to also keep in mind is the fact that according to Intuitive Machines, I know during the live stream people were saying, oh, it can't be this size. This is a terrible comparison. According to Intuitive Machines themselves, this is only about the size of a police phone box in the UK, aka also a TARDIS. Basically, you're talking phone box sized versus Starship sized, which I don't even think it needs a comparison. Starship is Starship sized. It's big. So I don't know if that extra mass may play a role in assisting, helping it from not necessarily tipping over, but all I know is that for sure, Starship is actually the one that's bigger on the inside.
At a certain hold on one second, dude. At a certain point, guys, you know, we're doing stuff differently than the way Apollo did. Apollo had a, you know, lunar orbit rendezvous architecture, and you know, with our landers this time around with the Artemis program with SpaceX the HLS, that's an Earth orbit rendezvous style system, and then for like with the refueling, and then you're doing lunar orbit rendezvous. Eventually, we're getting into unknown unknowns because no one's ever done this. We're blazing a new trail. Blazing a new trail like that is not without risk. You got to be bold, but you also don't want to do a stupid when you're doing spaceflight. But there's always going to be those higher stakes because no one's ever done this before.
Right. Rich, really quick. Toby Woby, I'm assuming is how you're supposed to say this name, says, let's not call this a success, okay? I disagree. This is a success. Like, what about this is not a success? Obviously, there's been some challenges, but they landed on the moon. The thing is in one piece. It's communicating with the ground. That's a success.
But would you call Slim a success?
Yes. I would say yeah.
I'd say it's a success for a first try. If, you know, Intuitive Machines gets to their coming flights, you know, IM-2 and IM-3, and we still see this kind of stuff, that's when I'd be like, But I have no reason to believe that they won't stick that landing. They'll put that thing right down on the surface next time. Calling it now. Remember this.
Yep. I think I agree. Go ahead, Sawyer.
I'll do the ding ding fight mode here. I don't know. It's a successful launch. It made it to the moon, but I don't know if I can call that full success. I think partial success is definitely achieved. Basically, even in their own words, they said that their path to success was soft landing upright on the moon. The upright part is the key there. So yes, a lot of the experiments will still be able to be completed, but we didn't get to do, pictures with Eagle Cam. There's still issues, it seems like, with communications to the spacecraft and data downlink, which is tricky when you only have 9 days left before lunar sunset here. It's just, I don't think I can classify this as a full success. Like you said, next time, EJ, I think you're completely right that they'll get it upright and we can call that a success. But yeah, it's safe to say it's not a failure.
Yeah, see, Sawyer, they didn't achieve the original mission objectives. Yeah, absolutely. Right? I think you're right on the ball with that. But here's the thing, when you're running into unknown unknowns, your definition of success does change, especially when you get a curveball. Look at Apollo 13. Apollo 13's objectives for that mission changed very quickly after they stirred the tanks. So, per the original objectives, I would say, yeah, you're right. They didn't get to do what they wanted to do, and that stinks. But given the, proverbial poop sandwich that they were dealt, right? Like, I'd say they did, within that new confine of mission criteria, I think they did pretty good. That's why I'd say success, because the objective can change. It usually doesn't with a mission, but sometimes you get curveballs in spaceflight. That's how this works.
But how is Apollo 13 classified in history now?
Successful failure.
Exactly.
Task failed successfully.
Let's see. We have some more questions. Edward Brown, this is interesting. I had to do some Googling here for the answer. Edward Brown is asking, how clear will the satellite photo be from Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter? So a cursory Googling tells me that the resolution of its narrow angle camera is half meter per pixel. And Sawyer, you said it's how many meters tall? Like 4?
Hang on, I have the number. I'll let you know in just a second. It is
4.3.
Yeah, roughly the size of a police phone box. Here we go. Actual height 4.3 meters.
Yeah. Okay, so it'll be something like 10, 8 to 10 pixels in an image from LRO. So it's not going to be like a super crazy detailed high definition image but it will be able to, help IM determine its orientation and precise location.
Thank you, Patrick.
I guess for reference, there's an Apollo 14 landing site image. So EagleCam is still going to be like the goods, right? But the LRO imagery is certainly going to be important in terms of characterizing where exactly they touched down, how accurate they were able to get, and all that sort of thing.
Just so you know what you're looking at there, that tiny little white dot in the middle there, that is the base of the lunar lander, the legs, and that blackish spot around it was from the landing, displacing all of the regolith.
Nice.
So they'll definitely be able to see, where the engine left its marks, and they should likely be able to see the orientation on the fact of, hey, is it a nice, tiny square, or is it kind of oblong? If it's a nice tiny square, it's up. If it's oblong, it's probably sideways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's, I said I like the Eagle Cam, right? And I like stuff like the Eagle Cam because, there's never been anything like that. But it's not to say that the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter isn't going to get you some really good data here. Now, okay, what kind of data can it get? I think it's like its lowest point in the orbit. Its lowest points in its orbit, which is slightly eccentric, is like 90,000 feet off the ground or something. Yeah, I know it's feet. Right. I'm tired. Right. I don't metric. Metric's nice. Okay, cool. So the data that you can learn from even a picture from that high up can still tell you a lot. Like, so you were just saying like you'll be able to see if it's on its side. You'll be able to know, but also you can tell. You can learn a lot from the scorch marks on the ground. The scorch marks on the ground and how the regolith propagated, which is something, this is what I mean about buying down risk. That information will probably find its way to somebody at SpaceX at some point, because the flame is going to, the scorch marks are going to be going sideways because the lander was going sideways. And you can use those pictures and you can compare them against instrumentation on the vehicle. And another experiment that was on Odysseus is an experiment to try and help with lunar regolith landing models. Another NASA payload had 4 cameras at the very bottom, kind of looking down. And what those cameras are going to do, what those cameras did was image the landing. And the idea is that because they had 4 cameras, they'll be able to use photogrammetry to be able to 3-dimensionally recreate the ejecta in the regolith from the landing. You can compare that against the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and that right there will get you that's a ton of information and a ton of stuff to learn how to get back into the scheme of things for like a soft landing on the moon.
What he said.
Sorry. That's true.
More questions? Question mark?
No question mark. Exclamation point.
All right.
Indeed. What he said.
Keiichi is asking, it seems nobody adopts Mars Pathfinder-style airbag landing. Why? This is an EJ question if I've ever heard one.
That's a good question. So the airbags that you're referring to, the airbags that were used on MERA and MERB, those are Spirit and Opportunity. And then there was Pathfinder before that, if I'm remembering correctly. So the thing is that when you're on the moon, there's no atmosphere. So if you do a slight descent, right, you slow down and then you fall back down to the surface, there's nothing in the way of stopping you except the ground. That means you're pretty much going to hit the surface going, I don't know, maybe like 2 times the speed of a rifle cartridge. Like, I don't know if an airbag's going to save you at that point. Now, the reason why they used it on MERA, MERB, and Pathfinder is because those probes re-entered Mars from a trans-Earth injection. When you're re-entering from a trans-Earth injection, you can use what little Mars atmosphere there is to actually slow yourself down. Later JPL probes, Curiosity, Perseverance, rip Ingenuity, still in our hearts. They all use aerobraking. When you're using the ground to slow down, you're using lithobraking. Now, they did the majority of their deceleration with the heat shield and then a drogue chute behind it. And then at the very last second, they plopped the thing out and it started bouncing around. It maybe hit the ground. I don't know. I don't know the exact number, but it was obviously slow enough to not pop the airbags. If we tried to do something like that on the moon, we would need to invent some type of balloon that could take a 5,000 mile an hour impact or a 7,000 kilometer an hour impact. I'm not saying you couldn't. Anything's possible within the confines of physics, but I think we're getting into some material science there that we just, that's a little bit beyond our technological prowess at this time, maybe in the future. But yeah, the moon, no atmosphere. There's no atmosphere. There's nothing is going to stop you. There's no brakes. The only brake is to take the accelerator and point it in a different direction to slow down.
Good old lithobraking.
Yep.
So you're saying we need the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to actually place it on the surface?
Yes. Yep. I
we
agree.
have a ton more Odysseus questions, so we'll hit those in a second, but I do want to thank people for supporting the channel and supporting what we do. Bideford, always love seeing the name in chat. Thank you for all the support, Bideford.
You.
Gifting 10 Red Team memberships.
Cool.
I thought somebody was going to chime. Okay, RC
No,
Horseman.
I was just saying Bideford's name. Bideford.
Bideford.
Thank you.
RC Horseman, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Another name we see basically every stream, so thank you. D.A. Swanson.
RC Horseman?
Yep. Gifting a... How am I supposed to hold it together? If
Yes.
You're not. That's the whole point of the new NSF Live.
Ryan,
Yes.
thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Blake Alexander gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Y'all are the best. Membership program is so integral to what we do. I'm trying to keep it together as you both are being absolute clowns.
Somebody in chat, Davian in chat is like, "What's up, not bro?" Thanks for reminding me of that. Appreciate it.
Musical Wolves, thank you for the support. They say landing slanted but intact mean one giant step for robot kind. See what you did there.
Yeah.
Philip Darby's asking, why didn't they build the landers like a Weeble Wobble?
Weeble, they wobble, but they don't fall down.
What is a Weeble Wobble?
Because of the doohickey.
Oh, I see what you... Okay, yeah. The thingamajigger, yeah, that prevented it from being a
Wasn't that the
Weeble
slogan? They weeble and they wobble, but they don't fall down?
I'm so lost, Sawyer, but I'll take your word for it.
First off, that's dangerous. Second off, thank you.
Steve,
happening?
thank you I have no idea. Steve, thank you for the $10 super chat. They say, was this CGI landing or real? Please debunk the trolls. I mean, once we get the LRO image, like, what do you even say at that point to doubt something like this, other than the full-on crazy stuff, which I don't even want to give examples of at this point. But if anyone has some debunking arrows in their quiver they would like to fire off,
I mean,
by all means.
Here's the thing. There's not much infrastructure out at the moon. Not much infrastructure to get live stream video. I mean, Starlink notwithstanding, we still have trouble getting nice live stream video from remote parts on Earth, right? So what we saw during the cast was an animation, but it was a telemetry-driven animation. They're taking the data that's getting downlinked from the spacecraft and applying that to a 3D model. Now, I mean, wish we'd seen more of it. That would have been cool. But still, seeing everybody in mission control get psyched up is still really cool, right?
Right.
You know, in terms, yeah. What's up?
There is the laser retroreflectors, which would have been a way to, you know, prove that they landed and that it's where they say it is, but it's on its side, so it's unclear if those will be useful. But I do have DOS in the back channel reminding me that there was an independent German company that was tracking the radio signals the entire time.
Yep.
So, it's like not NASA, not Intuitive Machines, completely separate independent organization who has no stake in the landing going right or wrong or one way or the other. So it's been independently verified by a third party, for one.
They're literally ham radio operators that did it, which
That's
shout
awesome.
out to all the amateur radio operators out there.
I really need to get my ham license.
Yes, you do.
Mostly because I eat a criminal amount of bacon.
Ha!
Ham, bacon.
So,
bacon? No?
Well, I guess, all right, fine. You can get a general license then. Although you are a bacon technician, so.
I'm a senior bacon technician. Get it right.
So,
by the way, for those who don't know, I am also a ham. In all senses of the word. I enjoy ham, I am a ham, and I also am a ham radio operator. So, continue. Sorry, EJ.
No. Today I learned. So, I mean, Jackie, you know, and Das, thanks for chiming in the back channel. I mean, talking about like independent review, I mean, you know, I'd say to skeptics that one of the best proofs that I have of us going to the moon isn't necessarily the laser rangefinders that are on the surface from the Apollo Lunar Surface Experiments packages, which, I mean, anybody can ping off those things. But, you know, you talked about independent review. One of the best things that I know of to tell people, like, we went there, speaking of independent review, is that the Soviet Union confirmed that we did. Right? Think about it.
Right.
You know, we're in a space race with them to get to the moon. Do you think they would admit that? Why would they admit that? Right? Even Luna 25, or not Luna 25, that didn't end well. Luna 14 flew over one of the Apollo landings. They confirmed our findings.
Right.
If that's not independent review, and you know good and well that if there was anything wrong, I mean, the United States and the Soviet Union didn't really like each other at the time either. If there was
like arch enemies, right? If ever there was something that would warrant one of the countries calling out the other, it was a moon landing and a faking of it. Like, imagine the propaganda coup that Soviet Russia would have gotten from such a thing. So it's just like at that point you have to be thinking that there's some sort of grand worldwide conspiracy amongst arch rivals, like bitter rivals who have thousands of nuclear weapons pointed at each other and ready to pull the trigger in a variety of incidents throughout history where we almost just completely obliterated humanity. But they're colluding somehow on faking a moon landing for some like
that's
the
best proof.
Well,
it's the best proof
also
I can provide, you know.
Also, Soviet Union, Apollo land you, so.
Wow.
Oh, gee.
Or landing confirm you. I don't know. In Soviet Russia, landing confirm you.
It was a good try of
that was a fail.
Smirnov.
I'll hang my head in shame.
Thank you. And yeah, we can see here the tweet from AMSAT DL showing the spectral, spectrogram. Is that even the right word? But showing that they're receiving radio from the lander. So there's that. It exists.
Right. It's the spike at the top, but also down at the bottom. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Patrick. That very big blue line. That's
Waterfall,
what
right?
we really, it's train time. That's what we really wanted to see. When we first got word that they were getting, oh shush, a slight signal from it, it was a very, very faint blue line on the bottom portion there. The fact that it's a lot thicker now means that it's stronger. Obviously, still not at the strength that they want, it seems like at this point, but the fact that it is strengthening is a good sign.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
yeah,
go ahead, EJ.
Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. So Sawyer, to build off that, a lot of people were bumming that we didn't get some live video. I mean, once again, them hot wiring their guidance system may have introduced a roll rate. They did talk about roll rates during the landing, but they lost signal right in the middle of a roll. If the guidance system was hot wired to, that included a horizontal velocity component when they were going to land, there's nothing that couldn't suggest, I guess, that there may have been a roll rate involved here. So why is that a big deal? The antennas aren't omnidirectional. They're regular antennas from as far as I can tell. I think they're. Sawyer, I don't know. You're going to have to help me with this one. I don't know if they said they could do S-band, but they were using like UHF, if I'm remembering right.
I think it was that they were really focusing on the S-band, but that's where they were running into the issues of their own ground network was not at full capacity, trying to receive the signal with some of the receivers were completely out. Some of them were not transmitting and receiving at full strength. So, yeah, I believe the main issue was that the S-band wasn't functioning as they expected, so they had the backup.
Yeah, so, okay, thank you. So what am I getting at with this? Guys, long story short, the antennas don't turn. So if there was a roll rate, the antenna's pointed in the wrong direction. And if the antenna's pointing in the wrong direction, you're not going to get any feed. They're not going to get any feed. They didn't get any feed.
Yeah, and that loss of comms was anticipated because they were planning on doing a roll maneuver. I don't know if they planned on doing a roll maneuver that was quite as aggressive as it ended up being, but the roll was specifically there to orient those antennas the right way, and clearly, the front fell off / tipped over. So so
don't do that again.
So they're no longer pointed the right way. But that was part of the roll. There was a planned roll, and there was an expected comms blackout, but obviously things went a little bit. To use a term from IM themselves, spicy. It was a little bit spicier than they
got a little
anticipated.
spicy.
I love that they repeatedly referred to it as spicy. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Spicy roll, yes.
Spicy roll.
Brett, thank you for the store purchase. They say my wife says keep up the good work. They got the patch. And what else did they get? Did they get a sweet orange shirt like the one that I'm wearing? Oh, they got the Flight 3 patch. Wait.
Hey.
Okay, I have to do this. Wait. Aha!
You're wearing pants, right? Okay,
Aha! this time I am wearing pants, yes.
It's
Anyways,
orange.
Nice. It's orange.
That's the shirt. It's a good shirt.
It is a
But
nice
thank you,
shirt,
Brett,
man.
for the store purchases, and thank you to your wife for the kind words. Jim Cavett, thank you for the super chat. They say happy Friday, y'all. Musical Wolves. This is we need to really yes.
No, my
Musical
God.
Wolves says Jake needs a cat in an astronaut suit emoji. Can we get Jake in an astronaut? Not like a dress up your pets kind of guy, but this is too good.
I like having my arms intact and not covered in claw marks, so probably not.
You could always sedate him. Give him like a
You can
little.
always Photoshop
Give him
too.
give him a little kitty Xanax. Like you're good to go.
No, that's human Xanax. Sorry, I'm keeping that.
And Corey, Lene, Carruthers, thank you for gifting the 5 Red Team memberships. If you got a gifted membership, be sure to thank the person that gave it to you, whether it's RC Horseman or Bideford or whoever. We appreciate all of the support.
I do have a question, though. A genuine question, surprisingly.
What's the question?
Do you think there's a potential for, either IM2 or IM3 that they consider having like an antenna dish or something that can at least be moved and rotated once it's on the surface? Like right now they have it every 15 minutes that they try and establish comms and it restarts, whereas potentially instead you also add one that's, every 15 minutes the dish does a slow 360 in case it receives a signal.
Right. This is something they talked about in the presser quite a bit. First off, they talked about having to reorient. I almost said reorientate. Is that even? Whatever.
Misunderestimate.
They had to reorient Odysseus in flight in order to get the antennas pointed back at Earth. And so one of the things they called out is like, we're definitely for the next missions going to have antennas that do not require us to reorient the vehicle in flight. And then another thing they called out was, having movable antennas is something that they mentioned that they wanted to have. So I think yes, Sawyer. My answer would be something along those lines is a very good idea, and a good piece of learning from this mission. EJ, you look like you have thoughts, my guy.
I mean, they said that they want to go to movable antennas, but I mean, and that would be cool. It really comes down to what you learned from IM-1, right? I mean, at face value, oh, well, we had problems with the antennas. Why not just make a movable antenna? Well, okay, you're changing the design here. Changing the transmission equipment on anything that flies up in space is just as radical of a design change as changing a fuel tank, changing an engine. It's something now you're back. That throws you back into testing, unless Intuitive Machines is pursuing kind of rapid iterative testing, in which case you might change it. But there's always a trade-off, right? You're trading simplicity in the IM-1's design with fixed antennas with an alternating software algorithm. You're just moving that risk from software risk to now mechanical. A movable antenna is going to have different power needs than this because it needs to move. How's it moving? Is it going to use electrical power? Does it use hopes and dreams to move around? You're changing the spacecraft here, and you're introducing variables that will put you back into testing and not necessarily back into flying. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to say, it's clear that Intuitive Machines has the chops to problem solve on the fly. Maybe they'll put a movable antenna on and say, all right, let's do it. We'll do it live, But anytime you change a component on a spacecraft like that, you are doing the opposite of buying down risk. There's always a trade-off. Changing variables like this could complicate missions in the future. You don't want to go back to square one. You want to build off of the previous missions. And in this particular case, I think the antennas, the thing is on its side, and the antennas are still working. I mean, that's a pretty good case for the antenna design that they have now. I'm just putting it out there. It's like I get asked this all the time. Why, when we cover like a SpaceX mission, like when we covered IM-1 launching, why did they have a loss of signal? Why couldn't SpaceX get an acquisition of signal with Falcon 9 while it was coasting over the Atlantic to before it performed the translunar injection burn? Well, because Falcon 9 still uses a ground tracking station antenna. And the conversation immediately goes from there, well, why isn't it using Starlink? Well, once again, you're changing the design. Changing the design means less flying. The ground systems work. Use them. Keep using that. And not to mention, like with a launch vehicle, you have to go through the FCC, and then you have to go through the FAA again. And you have to prove to them that this testing works. You're back into the testing cycle. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's really kind of driven for the application. Sometimes iterative design like this is a good thing. I mean, look at SpaceX, right? You learn the most from doing that, but you can also fail the most from doing that too. So maybe you don't want to put a movable antenna just because you had a problem with this time. Because that is basically admitting that your hot wired guidance system wasn't good enough. If it was me, I would go back to the guidance system and be absolutely sure that works, and maybe not change the antennas until another mission down the road. Because the antenna's not working this time around was a symptom of another problem on the vehicle. You wouldn't want to change something if another system has a problem. That's a good way to get stuck in development hell with an aerospace project.
Right. Scope creep, feature creep, hardware creep, Bradley fighting vehicle, Pentagon Wars situation. Anybody? It needs portholes so they can stick their guns out the side.
The other thing also is that you talk about Starlink and things like that.
Yep.
Intuitive Machines has their own ground network currently, but they're also working on their own lunar satellite network.
Yes,
Yep.
we have a question about this. Go for it.
Yeah, so basically they're planning on using ride shares essentially to get them out to the moon. They'll be developed by, and I know someone will be very happy when I say this, York Space, and they're expecting about 5 of them. So the plan is that, and they mentioned this in the press conference, that once that's up, then they have the ability to not have to go all the way back to Earth. You can just hit one of the comm satellites overhead, use that as a relay, and then that has the stronger signal that it can send back to Earth. So it is in works. It just isn't there yet for this mission.
Yeah, and now, like with all that, now, sorry, like I was hoping you'd chime in on it, right? With all that, would you want to change your antennas? Would you want to change them? Would you want to maybe they want to switch to a movable antenna to better work with the relays, because the relays are a moving target. Earth is not. It's not going anywhere. If you're on the south pole of the moon, it's going to always kind of be in the same spot. So there you go. There's your use case for allowing that trade-off that I was talking about. If future Intuitive Machines commercial landers are designed to work with this relay system, their antennas pointed in one direction is not going to work very well when a relay satellite orbits past them. It'll work for a second and then it'll be gone.
At the same time, though, that's also, I think, use case for having a movable antenna as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That it can track ground stations and track Earth stations. So it's one of those where if you make the fix now, you're also setting yourself up for success down the line, is my thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
That's what I mean. With that, once you get this, you see the bigger picture. Yeah, a movable antenna makes sense with a relay network, but it doesn't make sense if you don't have that, because once again, Earth doesn't move relative to something on the close side of the moon. I mean, it will shift a little bit, but because precession and whatnot. But yeah, no, there you go. Now you're talking into the type of problems that you're going to face from a systems engineering standpoint with iterative design. This is really interesting stuff. This stuff's my bread and butter. I love it.
Nice. Well, we do have a couple more questions, and we do want to move on because there's a lot of interesting things also that happened this week, including Nuglins. If I'm saying that right. But let's do a couple more. Let's do a couple more IM1 questions before we get fully into the next topic here. Where is it? Here we go. James Meyerkoff is asking, why haven't they sent back images yet? I understand there are limited comms, but you still get a lot of data from images and learn for sure how the craft is oriented. Well, it's still kind of in a boot loop, right? Like they're still trying to get in touch with the lander. I think during the presser they said that they're having some issues with like ground stations and also issues with the poor signal, and the vehicle is in a state right now where it switches its antennas every 15 minutes. So it's tough to get a command sent before it switches over to, like, say, a bad antenna or what have you. Is that an accurate characterization of the situation?
Chad or Sawyer, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that the 15-minute antenna modulation there was only working until they found a signal. Because, once again, think about it. They're going to land the thing in an orientation where it's pointed towards Earth. Why do you need to switch the antennas around? I think that was only when, that was basically them Odysseus switching the antennas around was basically like having the red flags, like in the cartoon. It's like, hey, I'm here. Look, I'm here. I'm right here.
I'm pretty positive it's still in that mode. They were saying during the presser, also agreeing in the background.
Cool.
They're saying in the press that that's a challenge that they're still sort of working through, and they said they had like a fix for it that they were like developing just before the presser started. So hopefully they'll able to get actual bona fide control of the vehicle and get it to switch into a controllable state and not like Earth sort of switching around kind of state.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding is that it is still doing the cycling thing, and they're trying to send the command to say stop rebooting,
Yeah.
but by the time the command gets there, it's already rebooted,
Okay.
and you're kind of stuck in a loop of reboots while trying to send the signal to say, yo, stick to these
Yeah.
two antennas, they're working great, stop rebooting.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. The reason why I asked is because I was wondering, like, if the thing had landed perfectly upright, it would have stopped doing that. And yeah, that's because it's on its side. You're not going to get a good lock on the thing. So okay, cool. It's still doing that. Yeah. I mean, guys, the other thing is that even if they did have a good lock on it, it's not like Odysseus. I mean, you're transmitting a signal an awfully long way, ground station straight to the surface of the moon. You know, we can see it like that works great when you have a super high powered antenna at a ground tracking station, right? But Odysseus itself you're not going to get a lot of bandwidth anyway, because it's just a small lander. It's the size of a phone box, right? Like, I don't how many people know what that is still, but that's okay.
Don't make me feel older than I already
I
do.
was gonna say, we're old, but we're not that old here.
Yeah, I know. You know, you're not, even if the mission had went perfectly, for the lander to transmit the data back, it would still take time. It's just not a high powered antenna, because, you know, when you build a spacecraft, everything has to be as low mass as possible, because mass fractions, delta V, rocket science and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it would still be slow, even if the thing was perfectly upright and the mission went perfect. It would still be slow, guys.
Let's see. Rankley was asking if Intuitive Machines has any future lander missions or other future missions planned. Yeah, there's 2 more of these, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
I am 2 and 3.
Dr. JJ is asking about footage from EagleCam. Once again, that did not deploy and landing as planned, but once they are able to get control, get through this whole boot loop thing, they're going to fire off EagleCam and attempt to get some imagery off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I guess finally, Truthtella is asking, wasn't it inadvisable to not be more transparent? Even during lunar orbit, radio signals showed they were quite off course, and they all acted like all was fine even when it wasn't. I mean, there was a couple potholes in the space road, like the whole tweet saying that they were down and vertical, but turns out they're sideways. But I think on the whole, the messaging here has been pretty dang good. I mean, you feel free to disagree with me. We can enter fight mode. Sawyer, I'll let you go first.
My thought is, it's somewhat transparent. The big thing was, early on in the broadcast, we saw them pulling up all of the data that they were accessing on the screens and flipping through them of like, look, here's all the telemetry we're getting, here's the data, here's things like that. And then, unfortunately, we never got to see any of that telemetry ever again. So it seemed like we didn't really get to see that, and then we were relying on their calls, which I don't think they were even confident necessarily in their calls at that point, because they're trying to figure it out as we're trying to figure it out too, and we're trying to do this without data. At least they have access to said data. So it's private space. They don't have to, but I'm glad we got what we did at least. It just, I would have liked more.
Yeah, I mean, there's always, as spaceflight fans and, people that we cover this stuff, right? We're always going to want more transparency. But, I mean, Sawyer, I think you said it right. We're in a new era here. This is uncharted territory. It's commercial space. They're a private company. How transparent do they need to be? I mean, frankly, hearing them in the press conference, they laid it all on the table. They came in there like rock stars. I thought that was sweet. I learned so much from that press interview. Now, in terms of like actually explaining that during the cast, I think their host did a fantastic job. I'm not just saying that to blow steam. He was a great commentator,
Agreed.
But as we move further into this, personal, private spaceflight era, commercial spaceflight era, you'll hone it in. They'll dial it in and get better. I mean, look at the Apollo missions. If you look at 11, you've got some televised footage from that live. But if you compare that to the amount of televised footage we got from the later Apollo missions, 15, 16, and even 17, 17 showed the ascent. you got to find your footing here, right? It's going to take some time as we enter this new era. Hopefully we move towards transparency. That would be great. I mean, as some of these companies are publicly traded, that type of transparency would be really, really appreciated for shareholders. Full disclosure, don't have any stock in any spaceflight companies, but that would be really cool. I think they just give them some time to find their footing. Give them a second to get better at casts. It takes time, dude.
And they are publicly traded. I think it's worth noting there.
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, I largely agree. I also, DOS brings up a really good point in the background that they had lots of messaging, but obfuscated that they missed all the actual important info. Like, perfect example, again, from DOS here, is they knew that based on those navigational troubleshooting operations that they took, and switching over to the experimental LiDAR, they knew that they had disabled EagleCam. They knew they were not going to do EagleCam while they landed, and yet we didn't learn that until, what was it, today? So, yeah, I guess that's kind of like what rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. Things like that, where it's like, well, you could have told us, we'll do EagleCam after landing, and we would have been like, but okay, like, we'll still get it at some point. But yeah, that was just a couple little wonky things here and there, but really good question from Truth Teller there. Let's move on.
Also, just want to point out, this was their first time ever doing this type of thing, their first ever webcast of a lunar landing. I'm sure, like we said, for IM2, not only will there be differences in the spacecraft and hopefully a successful landing, I have a feeling that they've learned a lot on the PR side of this as well, and hopefully that translates to even better webcasts for the second flight, kind of like SpaceX did over time, from Falcon 1 to Falcon 9, dramatic.
Exactly. I mean, I think, they did a great job. They did a great job with the commentary. And yeah, Gary was there too, the NASPO. Gary, you're the man if you're out there. But I mean, it's just another important thing. They're gonna find their footing over time. But also, I understand, you want to show everybody's promo footage and stuff. I firmly believe that people want to get into the nitty gritty. We want to see the nerd stuff. I think, between the company that I have here, NASASpaceflight, and the viewers, Twitch viewers, the YouTube viewers, we want to see that stuff. Oh yeah, absolutely. From a production standpoint, you might think like, people really want to stare at a graph all day. Yes, I do. Yeah, please.
Same.
Yes, I would like to do this.
Well.
Yes.
I would have loved like just a raw telemetry feed. That would have been amazing.
Oh man, like what we had with Slim. I mean, Slim showed all their control rates, their translation, the engines. We showed that right on stream, and I could use that to tell people what happened. It was excellent. If I understand, people aren't going to want. Not everybody's going to want to show that stuff, but that kind of stuff. Don't think for a second that we don't want to see that. Oh, we absolutely do. And that coupled with the commentary game that they showed up with on their first try, oh man, it'd hit it out of the park.
Right. Yeah.
Also,
I
Jake
completely
Cam.
agree. Yeah, please EagleCam, please. Hi, Jake.
He has his own card now, by the way. Just wanted. He does have an info card now.
Nice.
Oh, he is a very good boy.
The best.
All right, let's move on and talk about New Glenn. The Pathfinder is vertical.
New Glenn's
at the pad.
Oh,
let's go.
Awesome.
Forget old Glenn's.
So excited to see this rocket finally vertical. What is it, LC-36? I always forget. So exciting to see. I'm overjoyed to see a New Glenn on the pad. Sawyer, have you been able to see it with your own two eyes yet?
I have not yet. Hopefully it's still vertical around Crew 8 time. But, I mean, having seen the pad out there and, the transporter alone, it's big. It's... I know. Wait, great commentary here. But it's big.
Hey, sometimes it doesn't... Why use more words when few do trick? Like, you're not wrong. Like, the thing's a beast.
Right, and it's hilarious too because the lightning towers are so huge that it sort of like distorts how big the rocket looks, even though it's friggin' massive.
What I've been telling people over on my end, over on Twitch, hi Twitch viewers, what I've been telling people is, look, guys, I mean, that rocket isn't as big as a Saturn V, but it's almost as big as a Saturn V. It's close. That is a big launch vehicle. And it's partially reusable too, which is that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Can we talk though about how cursed the Pathfinder looks without the strakes or fins? It just looks wrong. It's too tube. I need less tube.
So you're saying it's their version of Ship 26?
Oh no! I knew you were gonna do
basically
that.
Way to go, Sawyer. Yes. Francis Chen in chat just said the same exact thing. But yeah,
Great minds.
The actual ultimate version of New Glenn will have strakes and some aero surfaces on there that are not currently present. But it is a mighty good looking rocket, I gotta say. For all the joking around.
Mm-hmm. It's really, really cool to see Blue take this big step like this. I'm really happy for those guys and gals over there. It is really cool. It's been a long time coming.
Right. And I feel like every week that we've done NSF Live in this new format, we've had some new, relatively large Blue Origin event or information to talk about, which, it's just another sort of sign of the times that they are really ramping up. They are really going to try and get this thing launched for the first time this year. And, the days of people snarking about, Blue not having any hardware or Blue not doing anything are well behind us at this point, which is so nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They've just been cooking for a while. That's all. It's slow roasting, right? We're barbecuing here. Okay.
Right. The rocket meat is going to be just falling off the bone by the time
Jack,
it's ready to.
That's why I like you.
We don't want that. We want it in one piece, Jack.
I was going to say the insulation would be falling off the tank, but
we don't want that either.
Let's just leave the ice falling off the tank. How about that?
That's also bad, but yes.
No, just the normal ice, like as it lifts off, like the frost on the outside. Come on.
Oh, right. Okay, fine. Well, we don't have any side-mounted orbiters, so everything's good.
You went there, huh?
The Hoff is asking, why does Jack look disproportionately wrong on camera? Do I look wrong on camera? No, don't full screen me. Patrick, why would you do that?
Well, we need to verify for ourselves. That's why.
So we called.
Find me here. I'll get back here. So I'm.
All right.
There we go. Right here.
Yeah, that's like more. Yeah, we're more like even now.
All right. Hey, what's up?
So we're calling this a Pathfinder. JS Web Productions is asking, is this rocket flight hardware or just a test article?
Part of it is. Part of it is stuff that might find its way on to future flights. Part of it is stuff that will fly in the first New Glenn. The first stage tankage, I believe, is for Flight 1. The engine section is not flight fidelity, but it could be in the future. Sawyer, I think I'd like to think that the engine section is like the Enterprise of parts for New Glenn. And, Enterprise was a real space shuttle. It's a real space shuttle chassis, but it's not flight fidelity, but it could have been. I mean, we got Challenger instead, and that's cool. I like Challenger. It's my favorite. But they could be used for stuff in the future. The engine section in the first stage. I'm not sure about the payload fairing in the second stage, though. Sawyer, do you know?
Payload fairing, I'm not sure. Again, I believe that they could use this and do a sort of cryo test. It wouldn't be with the actual methane. It would probably be nitrogen. But I believe that is a way that they can test the ground systems at least first. Then they can roll it back, put on the actual strakes, put on, the engines, and then do a static fire test.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a bunch of good questions here. I mean, X-Bar was just asking, will there be a static fire? So are you just assuming there'll be a static fire, or do we know that from Blue themselves?
I don't know if it's official or not, but I don't see why you wouldn't. I mean, Vulcan did it. Falcon Heavy still does it sometimes. for a first time ever for New Glenn, I would assume that they would static fire.
Same.
So I'm getting an update in the back channel from our resident nerd, Alex here. Alex, yeah. He says that they did cryo test with the second stage a while ago. These tests will only fill the boosters with nitrogen, fill the booster tanks with nitrogen, which are flight articles. So there you go, right from our resident expert and nerd. I mean, I am too, but.
Yeah, you
also,
said resident nerd, and I was like, which one? It's like all of us here.
Yeah.
To varying degrees.
Probably should have clarified there. Spreadsheet nerd. Excel extraordinaire.
And according to him as well, that in an interview with Aviation Week, Blue Origin officials did say that a static fire is planned for this summer. You could also learn a lot more about which ones are flight hardware and which ones aren't in today's This Week in Spaceflight.
Nice. That came out earlier today.
Watch
in
it,
case
you won't.
you were not aware. All for 9 is asking, how soon New Glenn recovery attempt? How long do we think it'll take before they start actually doing recovery, even just like a simulated like soft splashdown kind of thing?
I mean,
That's a good question.
we've seen a little bit of what appears to be Blue-style hardware at Port Canaveral, as we saw in the last flyover, but obviously it still has a ways to go. I think once we see more of that infrastructure built up at the port, and especially once we get word of, hey, they're in the works of building their own version of a drone ship, which, because of the size of the rocket, is going to have to be larger than the SpaceX ones, then I think we might be getting close. Obviously, I feel like the first flight, I don't know, maybe they would try?
Alex is saying first flight will have their barge out there for a landing attempt.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah, Christmas is also coming, but...
Damn, man. Jeez.
I'm
spicy.
I'm
Spicy
rooting
today.
for them. I really am. I love this rocket is freaking cool. But, it's... Even SpaceX took them a while to nail it down. I see the same thing probably with Blue. And also, if we're talking flying like late year, where are we on the landing barge? Do we have an update?
I have not seen one lately.
I mean, sorry, I'm gonna say put up your dukes here. All right, let's roll.
Ding ding.
Round 2, fight. So I think they'll do a landing on the first try, and not just because I really would like to see that. That would be really cool, even if it pops. Probably still going to learn a lot, but I think they will do the landing, and you know what? I'll even go so far as to say they'll get close to sticking it. You are right. It did take SpaceX some time, but you got to remember, Blue has New Shepard. Now I get it. New Glenn is not New Shepard, but landing a rocket is landing a rocket. Okay. It's shown that New Shepard is pretty dang adaptive at being able to come down and maneuver right onto a pinpoint target. They do have experience with throttling engines. They have experience with the guidance systems involved to do a precision landing. Once again, that doesn't necessarily translate over to New Glenn. New Glenn is a way bigger launch vehicle with different propellants, absolutely, but it is prior experience. They're not going into it cold turkey like SpaceX did. SpaceX was just like, all right, let's try to do this. SpaceX had Falcon 9, or Dev 1, Dev 2, and before those Grasshopper. So they had a little bit here and there, but that's not routine flights up and down. And even coming back down, pinpoint landing this thing with people on board. People weren't on it when it landed. They separated in a capsule. But they do have the experience here. And then at the same time, I know New Shepard isn't New Glenn, but with ULA, with Vulcan utilizing those BE-4s, and especially if ULA can get that smart reuse figured out with the expandable heat shield, bring those first stage engines back down, you're going to get some flight data on BE-4s and maybe even reuse them before New Glenn maybe even tries to do a landing attempt. It's possible. The point is that they aren't just going into this willy-nilly. There is actually, if you kind of look at it, there's a somewhat of a metered approach towards actually trying to stick this landing. Will they do it on the first try? I don't know. Well, I mean, that would, once again, I'll go back to the first thing that I said. I don't not want to see New Glenn, the first flight, attempt a landing. I don't not want to see that. I'm pretty sure you guys out there on the internet definitely don't not want to see that either. You know what I mean?
And see, I get what you're saying, but to me it sounds like we're comparing an RC airplane to a real airplane. You know, trying to land a remote airplane in the grass, cool, that's fine. But imagine putting yourself now in the cockpit of a 747 with only Microsoft Flight Simulator experience and your experience from landing remote planes. You know to flare, you know to slow down, things like that. But you're talking a much larger beast, especially considering that you're essentially talking about landing a shuttle external tank on a barge.
Shuttle?
Of course.
Sorry. KO. No. Yeah, that's a really good point. Absolutely.
Finish him.
Finish him. Flawless victory.
Yeah.
Easy M, thanks for the super chat. They say, are landers better, cheaper? Why not send a rover? I mean, it's just about complexity, right? Rover's also good, but more complex.
Wait,
Slim
what's
had
the
a
context?
rover on it. Same thing. You know, you can have both. You can have your cake and
Right.
eat it too. Slim deployed a rover in those upside down, which made for that fantastic picture that looked like it was the splash screen for Kerbal.
I still can't
Coco
believe that
Cats.
happened, man.
Gifting a red team membership, thank you. Bernie saying, going full orange for the third. Thanks all at NSF. People like the orange shirt. It's a good shirt. It's a quality shirt. So thanks for that. Also, Jackie says you sold me on the orange shirt. Jack, thank you for that. Thank you for stopping by the merch store and grabbing some merch. It's a good shirt. It's a quality shirt. And it's got a nice little gray NSF on there. It's like, yeah.
It's orange.
It's orange. Thank you. James, thank you for the store purchase. They say, so excited for the future. Keep up the great work. Also, best shuttle is the baby of the fleet. Go Endeavor. I disagree, it's Atlantis, but hey, you do you.
Challenger.
I agree completely with that person. I don't know, maybe something we'll have to debate on upcoming Shuttle Sundays.
I mean,
Oh, Shuttle Sunday.
shuttles. I mean, we should do that. I mean, Discovery, Atlantis, Endeavor are based off of Challenger. Without Challenger, those can't exist. It's the Falcon 9 1.1 of shuttles. It's Genesis, baby.
All right, I'll allow it. And Jimmy J, thank you for the support. They say, love your guys' work. Keep up the great work. Y'all three are the best trio. Hashtag Sawyer Fan Club. Oh, thanks, Jimmy.
Hey, thank you.
You didn't
Nice.
come here for Sawyer's good looks, but you could have. But you could have. All right, I'll leave now. All right, I'll see you later.
Let's do, see you later.
You should, yeah. Feel bad. You should feel bad for yourself right now,
I was
EJ.
complimenting you.
You calling me ugly?
No,
Fight.
that was a compliment.
Fight.
You said you're not here for the looks.
But you could be.
Anyways,
Yeah, move along.
let's do some New Glenn questions. Keiichi's asking, would a night launch have a better chance to see the blue exhaust? I think so, yeah. Right? Like
Yeah.
night launch, Methalox, that's the money.
Think of Relativity.
Right.
That's
John
a
is
good
asking,
launch.
why are their towers so tall compared to New Glenn? And is there supposed to be a crew access arm on that thing?
Sawyer, try SCE to auxiliary, please.
SCE to aux? What the?
Yeah.
You know what is that?
Guys, those are lightning towers. Anybody that's ever been down in Florida in the summertime, there's a lot of lightning. There's a lot of thunderstorms. NASA figured out the hard way what happens when lightning hits a rocket on the way up. It's not a good thing. So Apollo 12, when it went to launch, got struck by lightning. It because it became the tallest thing, and it's metal's conductive. Lightning hit it, arced down the plume, hit the tower, and short-circuited to Saturn V on the way up. Yeah, they had to switch the signal condition electronics to an auxiliary power source to basically. There's not. It's a little fuzzy. I haven't read about it in a little while, but they basically power cycled it while it was flying into space, and it somehow didn't break. That lesson learned made a new rule for launching rockets. It's called the surface electric field rule. Don't make the rocket the lightning rod. don't launch in a condition where the rocket becomes a conductor. That is, nope, bad stuff happens. You don't want that. So those two big towers on the sides, lightning rods. Now, one is different than the other. If you notice, the one on the right in the picture looks more like a fixed service structure or a launch umbilical tower. It's not an umbilical tower, more fixed service structure than anything. Blue said that will be for crew at some point. What that means, I have no idea. No clue.
Yep. By the way, shout out to John Aaron, the flight controller that made the call for SE to aux.
The steely-eyed missile man.
And then there's the second type of lightning one, which I just have to bring up so I can call out a certain fan club for existing of a vehicle that had to create its own rule of can't fly into certain clouds because it would create its own form of lightning in the form of the tribo electrification rule for Ares 1X.
Nice.
My guy.
Calling you out.
What a great word. Tribo electrification.
I'll
That's
never
awesome.
forget that word.
So, yeah, and do we think that there's any aspect of these towers being sized for not just New Glenn, but also New Armstrong in the future?
Oh, he said the thing. I mean, it all depends on what Blue's long-term goals are, which, I mean, we know that their long-term stated goal is not necessarily to have people inhabit a planet or a celestial body, but it's inhabiting space. So they want it, whatever they're trying to set up is some type of logistic transport system to be able to build big stuff in space. I mean, you do a little bit of logic extrapolation there. I think that means bigger rockets in the future. So I don't think that would be an unwise thing to think.
Cool.
Ditto.
Let's see. Any more New Glenn's questions here?
Just
20
I
minutes,
just
Jen.
want to.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Real quick, I was trying to get some in the dead air. I just want to shout out to the New Glenn transporter erector. That thing is gigantic, and I think that makes New Glenn the biggest horizontally integrated rocket since probably the N1, Soviet N1. I got some real strong grasshopper vibes from that thing. It's like the cradle that moves the rocket to the pad, turns it upright. The grasshopper that moved the ill-fated Soviet N1 rocket to the pad was about this size, but that thing was on rails and needed 4 locomotives to move, 4 heavy-duty switcher locomotives to move down the tracks. I mean, that transporter erector, if you look at this picture that's over there, you see the pickup truck on the left-hand side. It's not small. That is a gigantic piece of equipment.
And one of those people may have a banana with them for lunch for scale.
Really?
Oh, I don't know, but for bananas for scale.
Please.
Yeah, I thought Sawyer was like about to be like, look, and then here's the photo.
And there's the banana. No. But yeah, it is massive, and let's just hope that its fate is a lot better than the N1.
20-minute event is asking about a landing zone for New Glenn. Do we know anything about RTLS New Glenn missions, or is it all going to be barge, at least for the beginning, because, experimental? Or what's the knowledge base here?
I haven't heard anything. Sawyer, you?
No, still just ocean assets at the moment.
Yep.
Good deal. And then,
by the way, shout out to one of our members who's been a member for 2 months, by the name of New Glenn Transporter, saying shout out back at ya.
Nice.
Oh boy.
Jan Lucas Hassanau is asking if we could go through the measurements of New Glenn again, like how tall, how wide, payload capacity, etc. Does anyone have this on the brain?
So you want to take this one?
I do not have it on the brain.
Okay, so New Glenn is 7-meter core diameter. That's give or take about 22 feet for people that measure with feet, like body extremities. It's about 90 meters tall in change, I think. That's pushing almost 300 feet. It's close. SLS is taller because of the launch abort system on Orion. It is taller. Like I said, this is not a small vehicle. It's not small. So for some size comparison, Falcon 9's 3.7 meter core diameter. This is straight 7. It's almost double the diameter. Actually, it's a little bit under double the diameter of a Falcon 9. This is a unit of a rocket. Very big.
Absolute unit, yeah. And of course, compared to Starship's 9-meter diameter, what was Saturn V's diameter?
10.
Like before it tapered.
Yeah, Saturn V used the 10-meter core on the S1C and the S2. The S4B was a 6.6 meter core. Saturn V was about 100 meters tall, 330 feet, give or take. And yeah, I mean that rocket was a unit as well.
But I love that even though that's an older render, it's still based off of the Antares 200 series. You could fit it inside the first stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild. Suffice to say, New Glenn is a big boy.
I mean, the interesting thing is that New Glenn's second stage, 7-meter diameter. It has 2 BE3 engines in it, which are 500 kilonewton expander cycle motors. So it has 1 meganewton of thrust out the back. So 7-meter core stage, or 7-meter second stage with 1 meganewton of thrust behind it. That's on par with an S4B. That's pretty similar to a Saturn V third stage in terms of performance. That's going to. So what does that mean? Well, the last part of the question from Jan was payload mass. Blue in their packets in the past has said that this thing will be able to move about 45 tons. And if anything, we haven't heard much update on payload capacity since like 2017. And it's one thing I know about these rockets that are being waterfall designed, that you're going to change things, you're going to upgrade things over time. So it's probably going to be a little bit more than that. But utilizing New Glenn's high energy second stage will be able to afford you high energy transfers to the moon, albeit not with a big payload. But if you're opting for some type of in-flight refueling architecture, it's really, really suited to task here. You compare that to future versions of SLS's upper stage, like the exploration upper stage. That is really optimized around low energy, high delta V transfers, meaning it has a lot of fuel in it that could push you a really long distance, but it won't get you there very fast. You could see the kind of duality between a rocket that was designed for scientific exploration versus a rocket that's designed for moving logistics, for commercial economy in space. Right. There's a big difference here between those stages. That's a lot of gift memberships.
Wow.
Yeah, holy.
That's a lot of gift memberships, man.
Cannoli, Airbertac. Another one of those common names we see pop up, gifting 20 Red Team memberships. That's absolutely wild. Thank you.
Wow.
Airbertac. If y'all are new to our channel, or you just don't know what the membership program is, it's absolutely amazing. It is through YouTube. You can sign up for a monthly amount of support at various levels, or you can get gifted a membership like Airbertac just gave 20 people a Red Team membership. There's different levels of support, and EJ has a cowbell.
Do we get to, is this the part where we say subscribe and ring the bell?
No.
By the way, for people asking, how do you get one of those gifted subscriptions? A, you got to be lucky, and B, you have to actually have gifted subscriptions turned on.
Right. That's a thing you have to turn on in your own personal YouTube settings, right?
Yes.
Sounds like a Twitch thing. Oh, you're gonna do me like that, Chris? Jeez.
No, don't do that. No, not yet. It's like it's a suspense. We don't get to do the cowbell until the end.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
No bell today. I've decided. Nope.
Oh, we lost bell privileges.
Nope. No bell for you.
But seriously, Airbertac, thank you for gifting those 20 memberships. Membership program rules, all kinds of cool perks. There's members-only emoji. I'm going to throw a bunch of... Let's see, what should I throw a bunch of in chat? I'm going to do the patch. Flight 3 patch in chat. Bam. If you're a member, you have members-only emojis. And depending on what level you're at, there's a whole bunch of other cool perks too, like member-only exclusive content. And yeah. And of course, the member Discord at Capcom level and above. So if you're getting a gifted membership and you get a sweet, sweet taste of the membership program and you're like, I want more. Well, after your gifted membership runs up, sign up for a support at a level that you choose and get the cool stuff, or continue to get the cool stuff. You get it. You guys get it. You understand how things work.
Also, do we not have a New Glenn hug on the YouTube ones?
Oh, do we not have a New Glenn hug? Where's the New Glenn hug? Sorry, forehead cam.
Hola.
Is this? No, that's
Hello.
Vulcan hug. Don't full screen on my forehead.
Oh, please do it again.
Nope. Yeah, I don't think we have a new Glenn hug. We're gonna have to fix that. Forehead, more like 5 head. Am I right? Okay, moving on.
I can tell you that Jack did not put any forethought into his positioning.
Boo!
Chronicles of Earth 9 in chat says there's a Ferengi that is loving this moment. Are you calling me a Ferengi? Oh God. All right. Well, that's Newgland.
You want to buy this cowbell, Jack?
Do I want to buy the cowbell?
Yeah, you're Ferengi. You want to buy it? It's a great deal.
I do have some gold press latinum or whatever that I could. Am I missing a what's the? I'm clearly missing a reference. Sawyer, I've disappointed Sawyer and EJ. I don't want to exist anymore. Where's the button I press to stop existing? Is it here?
It's Alt F4.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm a failure, you guys. You can just take the show. I'll just go away.
Oh, no, we need your help to move ahead in the show.
Damn, don't kick him when he's down, man.
Well, he actually is down, and I can't kick, so we're in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm
Poor
back.
choice of words on my part, I guess.
Hey! He's back!
Welcome back!
Jack's back!
I'm back. Hey. All right,
Anyway,
so
space stuff.
any more Newglands, or do we want to move on?
No Newglands.
No, we have New Gland enough today.
All right, Newgland complete. Newgland confirmed. Let's move on to a potential buyer for ULA.
A Jack buyer for ULA?
A Jack buyer for ULA called Blue Origin. Wow, Sawyer. I can't believe you just made me do that. You didn't make me do it, but you prompted me to do it. Wow, Patrick needs an ad blocker.
That hurts.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, I got you, man.
That was I
came here to party, you know.
I have no words. But yeah, so there was this rumor that's been going around for quite a while now. The latest before this was that there were 2 finalists, sort of, Blue Origin and a private equity firm named Cerberus, which also owns Stratolaunch, by the way. But it seems like Blue Origin has emerged as the front runner here. Who has thoughts about all of this? I have so many questions. I don't know if I have thoughts, but I have questions. Like, what the heck is going to happen to Vulcan if Blue Origin buys ULA? Like, do they fly Vulcan and New Glenn? But yeah, I don't know. EJ, the look of consternation on your face tells me you are currently firing some neurons in an attempt to generate a thought.
I'm actually thinking about your question, dude. I mean, those are good questions. I mean, we obviously don't want to speculate too much. We don't have any information here, but I mean, it would be cool if Blue acquired that. ULA has a lot of proprietary technologies that they've developed over time, like ACES. Come on, guys. ACES would be cool.
Heck yeah, ACES would be awesome. I'm still sad that they canceled it.
Why don't we just take ACES tech and put it on New Glenn's second stage? Trade offer. I receive entertainment. You receive reusable second stage. Do we have a deal?
I accept this trade offer. Yes.
No, I mean that'd be really cool. It would be really, really awesome if Blue bought ULA and opened the taps on all these awesome R&D projects that ULA has messed with over the years. That in terms of like using Vulcan and New Glenn, I think that with what Blue, like, once again, just use some extrapolation. Their goal is to build stuff in space. Their goal is to build space stations. They want to build big space stations. They want people to live and work in space, not necessarily on a planet or a celestial body. That is going to require a lot of different avenues of transportation. If you think about it like a shipping company, take Amazon, for instance, probably a good example. Amazon has bigger trucks and they have smaller trucks. Vulcan's your small truck, New Glenn's your big truck. It's pretty straightforward stuff. They use the same engines, and Vulcan's already developed. It's already developed, arguably a very capable vehicle. And with that comes a lot of awesome bits of tech and a lot of really, really useful mission architecture. You could, I'm going to bring it up, and someone's going to fight me. You could use these vehicles in a similar manner to like Saturn 1B and Saturn 5, or you could use them like Ares 1 and Ares 5. I mean, don't get me wrong, New Glenn doesn't move as much as what Ares 5 was supposed to do. That was supposed to put like 200 tons into low Earth orbit, which, I mean, that would be cool if we made that. I know the RS-68s. I get it. Stop giving me that face, Chad. Jeez. I like Ares 1. All right. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for it. Okay?
Dare I say, also fitting in with your analogy would be like Falcon 9 and Starship.
Bingo.
Or even Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy for now.
Yeah, right. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point, EJ, also, like it's there's all this hardware, there's all this technology that ULA has developed, but also, just like we were talking about earlier in terms of landing on the moon, there is institutional knowledge and wisdom that has been built up in that workforce in terms of, how do you operate a mission control, how do you launch things, how do you process payloads, all of the stuff that Blue Origin has some experience with, but ULA is like, essentially the biggest kid on the block other than SpaceX.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to acquire the workforce too, and acquire that knowledge from all the years of ULA with Atlas V, Delta IV, the whole Delta IV family, now Vulcan, and again, the fact Vulcan's using the Blue Origin engines kind of helps too, in that there's a lot of shared knowledge. It must be all ready to use the engines on the Vulcan, so adding all of that, you get a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah,
and,
even just like on the business side, like dealing with DoD, like working and trying to get NSSL contracts, like there's just a wealth of goodies to be had from a Blue purchase of ULA. But Sawyer,
yeah, two other quick things. One, first off, shout out to the person in chat who suggested calling it Vulcan Glentar.
That's a good name. I like that. Yep.
No, please no.
Yes, I've disappointed Jack. It's a good day. No, I'm kidding. And then
that's every day, Sawyer. It's every day.
Love you too. The second thing that I find interesting, and I want your thoughts on this, is that Slick 37 hasn't officially been sold yet, has it?
No.
So, I mean, obviously the main contender that would end up taking it right now, it seems the leader is SpaceX, but that is still a ULA pad. Do you think that Blue Origin could potentially use that as either a second launch pad or maybe eventually in the future an RTLS landing zone? Or do you think that's still going to end up being sold?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. The first thing that popped in my head when they mentioned that, I'm like, oh, 37 is going to be up for grabs shortly.
Well, I guess that makes a little bit more sense as to why, and we talked about this last week, this Starship pad at the Cape that SpaceX wants to build might go at 37, but also might go at 50, which is like just basically an undeveloped patch of land right now. So there are options for Starship should 37 not pan out.
I mean, yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I'd say sorry. That's not a bad theory, to be honest. I mean, we know that the pads are leased, so because the pads are leased, right? And ULA is just a tenant of this, the Space Force station. That means it's contractual, and there could be stipulations in the contract that ULA could exercise launch extensions for Delta IV. Very unlikely, and we know that's not happening. But there might be some bit of nomenclature in there to, be for a next generation launch vehicle that they launch. And if if Blue ends up acquiring them, yeah, it's possible. I don't see why not.
And a good clarification from Andrew M in chat: it can't be sold, but it returns to the United States Space Force after the final Delta IV Heavy, and ULA or Blue could request the pad again.
Yeah,
so
that's kind of what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, they're contractual leases, guys. Like nobody owns the pad. You're just a tenant.
Right. Cool. Well,
The,
we'll see.
I got-
we'll see what
I got-
happens.
Yeah, dude, I got one more. I mean, we talked about, we went right to, okay, what if Blue acquires ULA? Now, there's this other private equity firm called Cerebus, you said? Now,
Cerebus. I'm always questioning if I'm actually pronouncing that right.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. No disrespect, obviously, to them. I don't know much about them, to be honest. You said they own Stratolaunch, which that's actually pretty cool. That's really neat. I mean, they pulled Stratolaunch after Paul Allen passed away. And that was terrible. They were reeling, and now they bounced back. They've acquired more assets for different types of testing in the upper atmosphere and stratolaunching things. So I think, I don't really know too much about them, but I think a more poignant thought would be there are private equity firms out there looking to acquire aerospace companies, not just like a contractor or a supplier for an aerospace company, but the actual launch vehicles themselves. That, I think, is a much more poignant thought. The fact that we actually have end-to-end launch vehicle provider that has private equity firms at all interested in acquiring it shows kind of the fundamental shift in commercialization over the last 10 years. I think it's a very interesting thing to kind of noodle on up here. The fact that we're even in this position is kind of strange. I mean, it's not a bad thing. That's really cool. That shows that people are willing to put dollars behind commercial space, in my opinion. I think that, and more money spent on space is definitely not a bad thing.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's an interesting indicator of where we're at in the development of commercial space.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, next up, Falcon 9 makes it to 19 flights.
Yeah, baby.
Twice, right? Now they have 2 boosters that have hit 19 with yesterday's launch out of Vandy. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, you want this one or me?
You got it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna do this for 10:58 while you continue along with the new 19 flight booster.
Good man. So, SpaceX, a couple of hours, or actually about 3 hours after Intuitive Machines touched down on the moon, launched Starlink 715 out of Slick 4 East at Vandenberg. This, it was, it's a Starlink mission. Those are kind of, I'm not about to say they're getting boring, but it's definitely becoming routine, right? Which is not a bad thing. It's never going to be boring for me. I don't know about you guys, but this kind of did fly under the radar, right? But a poignant thing to think about is that this was launching with booster 1061, and there's footage of it landing over there. That was the 19th flight for this booster. It's amazing to me that this point just seemed kind of come out of nowhere. I remember when SpaceX was like, "Oh yeah, we're reusing this one. We're reflying it. It's flown 2 flights. 2.
Right.
Now we have obviously 1058 flying to 19 flights, which whatever happened with that thing, that it seems kind of violent. I'm not sure what happened there, but it definitely ripped that thing in half. If I had to guess, probably the ocean. The ocean do be like that.
It do be like that sometimes.
It do be like that. And that stinks that happened to 1058, but 1061, now you're right at 19. That's 19. There's not much things that fly to space, period, that can be reused 19 times. I can think of a couple, maybe 3 things right now that we have that have flown a good amount of times. I'll bet you guys can't guess what I'm thinking about. I bet you can't. Sawyer, do you know? Could you help me out?
It's definitely not shuttle.
I can't think of any reusable space plane, space transportation system that might do something like that. No, of course not.
It's definitely not shuttle.
No. Right? What is Atlantis had 33, Discovery 39. What's Endeavor, Sawyer?
You're putting me on the spot.
Oh, sorry, man. Sorry. Back channel. Alex. Shh. Come on, go.
No, I got it. It's just, I keep forgetting if it was 34, 35. Hang on. I feel bad that I don't know this off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I will know this Sunday for Shuttle Sunday.
This is like an
happening this
inverse-
Sunday, 25.
Okay, cool. I mean, it's crazy that, Sawyer, like, I know you're shuttle nut. Jack, I'm not sure when you kind of became a space nerd and got bitten by the space bug, but I know Sawyer. Yeah, okay, cool. That's a good thing.
I saw a shuttle launch as a kid from the Causeway because
all right.
did not shut up about asking my parents to get us a car pass ticket so that we could see a shuttle launch from the Causeway.
I see nothing wrong here.
I've been doing this my whole life.
Yeah.
Good man.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, you guys know at the end of the shuttle program, we weren't even, people weren't even sure if reusing something was a good, viable thing to do for a future space flight economy.
Which is wild, right?
Did you guys think that, a little bit over 10 years on, we'd be counting reuse on any spaceflight hardware almost 20 times? Ever? That's crazy. It's crazy how we kind of turned that one around, because I don't know about you guys.
What's the term, like the Overton window or whatever? Like, it's shifted so much since when SpaceX was first starting to land and reuse boosters, to where, back then there were so many naysayers saying, like, oh, it's not going to be financially viable, or oh, it's not going to be, even if it works, it's not a good idea, or it's never going to work for all these reasons. Like, and over the ensuing decade, we've gotten to a point where it's so routine, it's like almost unremarkable. So I don't know that I could have predicted it or anticipated it back then, just because of how lame everything was, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean?
Dude, those of us that were here, I mean, with the advancement of commercial, there's a lot of new people that are interested in this. I mean, even now, people are still super into it. I get asked, like, oh, you like space? What's SpaceX do? Like, or hey, what's NASA up to? Like, get asked that all the time. You get asked that in polite conversation. Right. We didn't get asked those questions about 15 years ago. We never got asked that. Like,
right. It was like some serious doldrums for a long time.
Yep. It was not fun.
Speaking of getting asked, I was going through the Border Patrol checkpoint at Starbase a couple months back, and the Border Patrol guy asked me, because I was driving the NASA spaceflight truck. He saw the NASA spaceflight on there. He asked me if I thought that we landed on the moon, and I was like, "Yeah, like, huh?"
Yeah, man.
And he was like, "Man, I don't really know. I don't know if we." And I said the exact same thing that you said, EJ. I was like, "Yeah, but think about it. Soviet Russia, if they had any ability to muddy the waters, you better believe they would have done it." And even that didn't seem to really make much of a difference in his thinking. But that was remarkable.
Oh, I got another one just like that. I was working at a TV station in North Florida, and I was actually on camera. It was a segment called Science with Sawyer. Yes, that was a slight flex.
Cool.
And was at a Relay for Life event, and we were the sponsors, so all the on-air people were out there. So I was doing one of the laps, and someone came up. They're like, "Hey, aren't you the guy that does the science segments?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." The first time anyone acknowledged me in public. And he's like, "I love all of your stuff, except I don't think we landed on the moon." I'm like, what am I supposed to say to that? This is at a charity event. I'm wearing my station's T-shirt. I'm I have to be nice.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what you do?
You
know what you do, Sawyer? You pull a buzz and you just pop him right in the mouth.
I think I said, "I appreciate your opinion and thank you very much for watching." I think that was what I said to get out of it.
Did you appreciate the opinion, though? Did you?
Oh, heck no. But hey, they watch. That paid my paycheck. I was happy.
There you go, man. There you go. Hey, there you go. Hey, you think whatever you want, man. You're gonna pay me to think. Yeah, go ahead. Why not? Right? Go ahead. If we're entertaining, sure. Go for it.
I'm just gonna be quiet so I can get more EJ mumbling. I'm here for it. So yeah, Falcon 9 at 19 flights. What do we think? They're just gonna keep cranking out Falcon 9s for the indefinite future. I mean, it certainly seems like it's not going anywhere with Starship taking its sweet time, and even after Starship becomes operational. But what do we think is like the limit that we'll eventually get to with Falcon 9, or maybe we don't get to a limit and they just keep flying them and flying them and flying them.
I don't even think SpaceX has the answer to that question. There are theoreticals, but until you get to that point, until you get data, until you get data-driven engineering with reuse, nobody knows. It's anybody's guess. It really depends on the data, and if the data is good, like wearing on components, checking the boosters every flight, making sure that potential items that need to be refurbished are done timely. It's anybody's guess.
Right.
I think eventually we'll get to booster 1100. It's going to take a little bit. They're still going to have to make new boosters, but as the Eagles say, take it to the limit one more time. Like you were saying, they're going to fly it, they're going to check it, and if it's good to go again, let's go again.
SpaceX does rapid testing, and they let the data from said testing guide their engineering decisions. It's a way to go, and it clearly works. So, I don't see why we couldn't get more out of these things. They might have to replace engines. Components just wear out. Like, that happens.
Right.
Speaking
of engines,
yeah.
On this most recent flight, the Starlink out of Vandy, what was it, 715? I think it was.
Yep, 715.
14 or 15.
SpaceX did a tweet right afterwards saying that one of the Merlins on the booster was flying for its 22nd time. So that engine is their flight leader.
Wow.
Of all Merlin engines. So booster has gotten to 19. Merlin in itself has gotten to 22. So if anything, that's another data point in terms of where things are going and all of that. But another cool little tweak or perk or difference. I can't talk anymore. My brain is going.
Okay.
Daisy. Okay. Is that there was 24. I think there was 24 Starlinks on this one instead of 22, if I'm not mistaken. So they figured out somehow a way to get yet another Starlink on the stack that they launched. So pretty nifty.
It's launching payload into space is a task. It's a complicated one, but it's just a task like doing anything else.
Oh wait, sorry, I'm an idiot. It was 22. 24 is tomorrow's launch. I'm a big dumb idiot. Ignore me. Continue.
Tomorrow
AJ.
from Cape Canaveral, by the way.
What I'm about to say is still pertinent anyway. All this flight-driven and engineering-driven data gives SpaceX an opportunity to expand Falcon and Falcon Heavy's envelope of performance. It's very clear that they've tweaked the trajectory. If you watch all the launches, you could just see kind of where the first stage is going by its apogee when it's coasting, or if it boosts back. You can see that they do tweak the trajectory from time to time, and all this flight data is going to allow you to buy down the risk of expanding and maybe flying Falcon 9 in a condition that you wouldn't have previously tried, because you're slowly and steadily incrementally expanding what it can do. And Jack, there are very clearly some optimizations being done here. Starlink V2 minis are not small satellites. They're not small. That's a lot of mass to throw up there. 24 of those things, pretty heavy. And that just shows that even now, even with Starship development in full swing, SpaceX is still looking at operational upgrades to Falcon's architecture. It's pretty cool.
Right,
yeah,
finding ways they can do some tweaks and eke out a little bit more performance here or there, however they can. I forget which launch it was, but it was another recent launch where the Merlin vac did not have a stiffener ring on it. It's just like they're still continuing to make little tweaks and changes.
That was 714 out of Vandy.
Nice, thank you, Sawyer.
No stiffener ring, huh?
No? By the way, this launch will be pretty funny tomorrow, but you know what's funnier than 24?
Uh-oh.
Race for
impact. 5. Hey, EJ, who's the one who made the first SpongeBob reference today?
Finland! Where's the leak, ma'am? Okay, all right. Yeah, I'll give you
Continue with space stuff, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Shall we move on to Starship as we get into the home stretch here?
Of course.
Cool.
It's not good news about it, but let's talk about it.
Right. So, headline, Starship destacked. Booster rolled back. Fans sad. And then the subheading would be just a bunch of question marks. That's it. That's the send tweet. That's the tweet.
Sent from my iPhone. Wait. So, okay. Do I know what's going on here? Nope. No idea. All I know is that they put the stack out last week, tested it, aborted that test, did it the next day again, aborted that test, and then promptly destacked the entire thing. Ship off, super heavy off pedestal. That tells me that whatever they were trying, they didn't like. Do I know what that is? I have no idea. I am intentionally being very vague. That could be 1,000 different things. We do know that they tanked the tanking procedure per my conversation with Alex last week on this. And Alex, thank you for helping me out with that, man. I appreciate it. Mr. Back Channel, XL extraordinaire. No, we know that the fueling timings were different, and fuel timings are a very, very big thing to change. So they tried something. They didn't like it. They may have even broken something. Don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that they did break something either with the physical stacking of the vehicle or during the testing itself. I mean, everyone remembers Booster 7 crushing its transfer tube while it was undergoing, I think it was undergoing cryo-proofing when it crushed its transfer tube. So it's a cliche, but, that's why you test. Obviously, you hope your test parameters are set up properly so you're not unnecessarily breaking things, but yeah, that it would not be unprecedented for them to have damaged something during testing either on booster or ship. And the fact that the booster rolled all the way back to the production site and is not just like sitting there on the mount waiting for ship 28 to do whatever really makes me wonder what exactly is going on with the booster. Chris, NASA Spaceflight in chat says rip downcomer. Can I rant for a second?
I mean, he did say that your comment on 7 was too soon. So.
Yeah, but really quick, it's a transfer tube. The labels say transfer tube. Like, I don't understand why people insist on calling it a downcomer. I've probably called it a downcomer in the past before seeing a label on one with a photo that I shot that says transfer tube. It's a transfer tube. It transfers the methane through the liquid oxygen tank. It's not a downcomer, it's a transfer tube. I'm done.
We believe you.
I'm done.
The other interesting thing is that, they're, like you said, they rolled 10 all the way back. You've got 28 that's now on suborbital pad B. And they've also been working on the lift points on the chopsticks. I found that really interesting. It almost looked like they were chopping them off at one point the other night.
Chopping the chopsticks? Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me chopstick.
Right.
Credence in chat says transfer comer tube. What have I done?
I don't know, man.
It remains to be seen what's going to happen next. They've put 28 on pad B, and so now we wait to see what happens with 28. Whether they do oh god, there's a poll.
Oh,
I like
nice.
the parentheses.
There's a biased poll in chat.
Jack, which one did you want? You want a transfer tube? All right, cool.
Thanks. Just so you know, you can select the one that I don't like.
I'm clicking downcomer.
It's transfer tube.
I will say, I am not a person of culture, so transfer tube it is.
Nice.
Hey, wait a minute. All right, here's the thing. Do you call a copy machine a Xerox machine?
No, okay, well, we're going to get into proprietary eponyms here, like Kleenex and tissue and all this, Band-Aid and adhesive medical strips.
Yes.
That actually brings up perfectly what we were discussing the other day, Jack.
It does.
Apparently, people overseas, and I'm sure some of you out there might be able to answer this, just use the term Philadelphia for a spread rather than the name cream cheese.
Yeah, that blew my mind a little bit.
Huh.
Like, hey, do you have
Apparently
any
it's a
Philadelphia
thing.
for my bagel? What?
Right, it sounds wrong. Especially on like a New York bagel, Philly for my New York.
No, I don't like that. Yep, no, that's weird. That's
yeah,
interesting.
so, anyways, transfer tube, whatever. I'm an idiot. You don't have to actually listen to me.
No, I mean, like I said, you get into that kind of stuff. Like there's pause attraction. I'm gonna carve that out here just for a second. I swear we'll get back to space stuff. Okay. There's pause attraction. Pause
Are we
attraction.
going to a 73 Buick Skylark?
Yes.
Was it mint green?
Yeah, metallic mint green.
Mint green.
What is pause attraction? Pause attraction is limited slip. It's a limited slip differential, right? It's a limited slip differential. But see, here's the thing. Pause attraction is not what it is. It's a limited slip. Pause attraction was Chevy's branding for their limited slip. Ford, Dodge, Honda, they all have their own names for that. But, in the States, for at least Ford and Dodge, pause attraction became the norm. That was the name. That's the name. It's like if I held up a Betamax tape, it'd be like, oh, that's a cassette tape. No, it's a Betamax.
Right.
Not the same thing, but there you go. That's the name. That's the name of the stock. Downcomer is the slang for most plumbing that comes down the launch vehicle. So SpaceX can call it whatever they want. Ford can call whatever their limited slip differentials are, short grip or true track or whatever. It's pause attraction. Okay, and I'm saying that as a Ford guy. It's pause attraction. Also, my cousin Vinny.
I mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I get it. To me, and I am not a rocket scientist, so I'm mostly an idiot, so you can feel free to ignore me, but a downcomer would be a tube that comes down, like on the outside of the external tank for a shuttle, for example. That's a downcomer. That's not transferring the fuel through anything. That's a downcomer, sure, downcomer. Transfer tube is inside the vehicle transferring the fluid through the other tank. Like, it's a transfer tube. Okay, I'll stop.
But on the shuttle, it's called an external downcomer. And same with Atlas V.
Which implies the existence of an internal downcomer. I'm mad. I don't like this. I don't like this, EJ. Transfer tube.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. You told me to ignore you.
That's probably wise, honestly.
Oh, you two youths.
Transfer tube is winning the poll, for the record. So there is that. Alex says it can't be a downcomer when the tube is also sideways for the flip. Yeah, it's not a sideways comer. Gotcha. Thank you, Alex.
I don't know why that's so funny, thinking of the downcomer sideways, just calling it a sideways comer.
A sidewardser, as Das would probably say.
Ooh, sidewardser. I like that better.
Oh, God, it's like sandpaper for my ears.
We got two putzes here. You should change the name from NASASpaceflight Live to the two putzes.
What is that?
The two
to
what?
America?
Yeah.
Classic. Classic. So yeah, I don't mean, it's weird. There's like not really much else to say about Starship. I mean, the tower sections arrived in Boca. They're still at the port. The booster's back at the production site getting worked on. 28 will probably be spin primed, static fired, some kind of engine testing in the coming days. We did get new closures for the 26th, the 27th, and 28th. 26th is scheduled 8 to 8. 27th and 28th, they're possible 8 to 8. So those are full-on testing closures. It's not like a rollback closure or anything like that. So we will have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, that's basically it. Other than perhaps we could talk or speculate briefly about the location of second tower, if you guys want to do that.
I think in SpaceX's renders, it's just going to be a little ways south of the other one. But once again, we have to wait until we start. I mean, once you start seeing dump trucks start moving around dirt just to settle. I mean, we did talk about this. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Once that's going to be the dead giveaway. So trucks start going out there moving dirt.
New stuff, to paraphrase and friend of five things. New stuff has come to light.
Oh.
I'm doing a big Lebowski. The new stuff that has come to light is that new parking lot over there by the suborbital side, the tank farm. They're tearing up the brand new parking lot they just put in and built a fence around. So it certainly seems like it's going to end up replacing the suborbital side of the launch site. I can't read what Patrick is highlighting. It's too
to
tiny.
fill up 0.16 acre wetland there.
Right. So
with the second orbital
wetland,
launch pad.
I don't know if we have a map also as part of this, but that little 0.16 acre wetland is like a notch that is cut into their property line on the suborbital side. So filling that in would sort of fill out that entire little notch, for lack of a better word. So it seems like towers going over on the suborbital side, and now there will be no more suborbital side, and of course, that ties into ship engine testing, moving over to Massey's. So all of this is starting to come together.
It's all coming together. Yeah, they're building a gigantic test stand at Massey's, are they not?
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be used for ship static fires, so no longer will need Pad B or Pad A, and they can just go full orbital at the launch site. Imagine, launch site with no suborbital infrastructure.
What's
Crazy
the world
concept.
come to?
Yeah,
Oh.
right?
By the way, Jake, if you love me, call it a transfer tube. Oh, wait, what do you know? He agrees, as does YouTube chat. 55% transfer tube, 44% downcomer, 1% of where did that 1% go?
Nice. Let's go. It's a transfer tube. It's not a sidewardser.
SMH. My head.
So yeah, there's that notch we were talking about. See that little red?
Yep.
Red. There you go. Yeah.
Literally,
So-
that one piece of grass.
Yeah, it's literally like a little sliver right there. It's hilarious.
Can we go up to Patrick?
Yeah, there you go. You can see it. You can see it better from the top down right there. What that looks like.
No, I need to see the legend here real quick. I'm gonna nerd on this for
I'm
a second.
right here.
Yeah, nerd on. Well,
Word.
Sawyer is a legend, but
Yeah.
I think he means the key.
Yeah. Well, it says legend. I mean, it doesn't say Sawyer for what it's worth. It could though.
But yeah,
Hang on.
that is
There
the
you go.
parking lot that they are
Pick a
that they are
key.
starting to tear up. That they literally just finished building.
So, red area is the proposed wetland impact, high marsh area, and the line highlights current pad limits. And then there's the property boundary here. And then we have an unvegetated salt flat. Yeah. Okay. So
I love
just
me a
the
good unvegetated salt flat.
Oh yeah, who doesn't, man? Who doesn't? So they got that sliver of land. I don't think the pad is going to be built on that sliver of land.
No.
But yeah, that area around the parking lot will be all encompassing for a pad. If I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, basically the document saying that they need that to fill that in to build the second pad means that in this area there will be the second pad, not necessarily that it's going right there on that little sliver.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they were going to fill in the unvegetated salt flats that are on the lower part of this picture there, because there is that kind of piece of terrain that comes in. And it kind of connects into where they used to land starships during the suborbital testing era, right?
Right.
So I always thought that, you'd see the pad more in that direction. But, I mean, also, at the same time, it makes sense to build some kind of fuel farm where the original Falcon 9 plans were for the HIF. That's because that can take a lot of mass on the ground. That dirt is already compacted, basically where the tank farm is for the suborbital pads.
Right.
That'd be a good place to build a new fuel farm. And I mean, it already is to an extent, not for a full stack, right?
Yeah. And Alex in our back channel is saying the document says that the southern portion will not be developed, which kind of falls in line with what we've seen regarding the unvegetated salt flat. That's like sort of a protected thing area, whatever you want to call it, that they're trying to not disturb as much as possible.
I mean, Eric and Chad, if you were in my position, would you not want to say unvegetated salt flat as much as humanly possible?
Just like, give me an unvegetated salt flat for dinner. It sounds delicious.
I'll take 2.
Yeah, but see, I need a little bit of the protein in there, so maybe I go for the vegetated salt flats. You guys can enjoy the unvegetated salt flats.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take a bacon salt flat.
There we go.
Right? See, like
A baconated salt flat.
Oh. Oof.
I broke Jack. Yeah.
Baconated. I don't even know.
It's fun to say.
It
Baconated
is.
salt flat.
Quality word.
It just rolls off the tongue. Shake and bake, man. It just rolls off the tongue. You just feel great saying it.
I'm trying to remember the Simpsons reference, like baconate your grapefruit or something like that. That's definitely a thing. Anyways,
Shake and bake.
I don't know. What more do we have to talk about on Starship? I'm pulling the bucket up from the well, and there's not much water in it. At least in my brain. My brain bucket is devoid of water. What do you guys got?
It's unwatered salt flats then?
Yeah, there you go.
Jeez.
Unhydrated salt flat.
Dehydrated salt flats, yes.
Oh yeah,
All
I
these
guess there's
flavors,
the
and you
9
chose
flights thing. SpaceX asked the FAA to let them fly 9 times this year.
9 times?
9 times.
That's almost 10 times.
9 times.
I mean, that's certainly, yeah, I think that's not anything that I wouldn't have expected. And we know SpaceX needs to get Starship, at least with orbital capability, sooner rather than later. There are long lead items in their spaceflight architecture that they're using to get a lander to the moon that requires a lot of in-flight testing and in-flight fueling. I think that's pretty fair that something like this would have been coming down the road. I mean, this is a little bit of speculation on my part. I'm wondering how that jives with the environmental impact survey that they did a little while back. Because that EIS, if I'm remembering right, Alex, if you know something about this, back channel me, dude. I'm pretty sure that called for 10 flights a year out of Boca to minimize the environmental impact. And I mean, they've asked for 9 more. I'm wondering if that 9 is part of that 10 from the environmental impact, or if it's more, or if they're getting more leeway back and forth. I'm wondering here because, I mean, all signs do point to SpaceX ramping up at Boca, second tower, asking 9 times, the rate at which we see iteration, the rate at which they stack.
Alex is saying he believes it's 9 period rather than 9 additional ones.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder if they're asking for 9 because they think they'll hit 9, or if they're asking for 9 because they just want to pad for, next year or whatever, when they actually do have a second pad up and running. Because the second pad's going to take them, 18 months, 2 years to get fully up and running, somewhere in there. So it could just
By the way,
be
did you
sort
say
of
pad their time with a pad?
What?
I wish I could take responsibility for that, but it sort of just happened. It was not planned.
Well, it was very good still. Anyway, I apologize for interrupting.
No, you're good. But yeah,
Good,
I do wonder if they're, what's going on there, if they actually do think that they'll hit. Because if you told me right now, Jack, Starship is going, I'm from the future, I'm you from a year from now, stop eating so much bacon, you're going to have a heart attack. Also, Starship launches 9 times in 2024. I'd be like, no way. Also, I'm going to keep eating bacon. But I don't know. Do you think 9 flights is even plausible this year?
I don't think they would be applying for 9 if they didn't think that they could do it. I mean, there is SpaceX time. They take the impossible and make it late, in Elon's words, right? So my guess is that they're looking at highest favorable outcome from all the iterative tests, and I think they see 9 flights as the highest possible, highest positive outcome of all the tests. They could get up to 9. Like I said, they wouldn't do it if they weren't confident.
Yeah.
But it's Elon time, like you said, which has its positives in that it pushes them to get to a much quicker timeline and things get done a lot faster. But his timelines are too ambitious sometimes. So, I think it'll be a lot. I don't think you're going to hit 9, though, this time. Maybe next year. But this year, I mean, heck, if they can double what they did last year, that's already a huge start.
Yep. I think that 9 is pretty optimistic. But then again, you never know. I mean, at one point, like in 2019, Falcons were launching maybe once a month. Now we see it once every 2 days. And that seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. I know that 2019 was a little bit ago, and I don't like admitting that, but it seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. You never know. It's possible. But I think, once again, it's still important to think, look, man, they got to test fuel transfer on orbit. They got to test prop transfer. They got to test reusability Starship. There's a lot. I mean, and that doesn't even include lander, so long lead items that are for HLS, their lunar lander. There's a lot of mission architecture that still needs to be ironed out. So urgency is kind of key here. Remember, I know we had some not great news with Artemis 2 being moved to 2025 and then Artemis 3 to 2026 for the development of a launch vehicle, especially one as complicated as Starship. 2026 might as well be next week. Urgency is key here. They really got to get going. And I'm not. That's not anything that they don't know. I'm pretty sure they know that, or else they wouldn't have done this, right?
Yeah, good call. Spike, thank you for the super chat. They say, Slick 13, what's the deal with Viaspace and Phantom Space moving in? Will SpaceX build new landing zones? Sawyer, this is a Florida question, so I'm looking at you, buddy.
Alligators and... Oh, no, wrong Florida. As of right now, they still have not had any activity done over there. So for right now, SpaceX is continuing to use Slick 13, which we call LZ1 and LZ2. I think once they're ready to start, that's when things are going to get interesting in that point. And that, going back to a conversation about ULA, that could be the potential of why SpaceX would want 37, to set up landing zones over there, either for Starship or for Falcon or for both. So as of right now, no word. SpaceX continues to have free reign of landing there with permission.
Dude, this isn't me disagreeing. I think you're absolutely right. But so that brings up a question. And, feel free to discuss in chat, guys. Why would SpaceX let the lease expire on their landing pads? Why would they do that? Once again, I like to, sit here and kind of play these logic puzzles here.
That's a really good question.
Why would they do that? SpaceX, are they going to switch to drone ships? If they were going to switch to just landing on drone ships, don't you think we'd maybe see more drone ships?
Right.
Because right now, with the frequency of Falcon 9 launches, the drone ships are the bottleneck, towing the dang thing all the way back to a port and getting the booster up. That's what takes the longest. The launching part doesn't take long. It takes 8 minutes, right? Booster processing, obviously, right? But you have a fleet of boosters, so one's going to be ready all the time. There's only three drone ships here, so that's is SpaceX, why are they giving it up? Where are they going to go? I don't know if that's the right question to ask. I think the right question to ask is, why would you give this up? I don't think they would let the lease expire on LC-13, LZ-1 and 2 unless they had another solution lined up and they were sure about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially given how many RTLS missions we've already seen so far this year, and it's only February.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, if anything, there's been more RTLS missions than normal lately. Now I'm wondering, if you're SpaceX and you let that lapse, did they bid again and then got outbid, or how does that? I'm so curious how all that worked. Why would you even do that?
I don't think they would let that. I don't think they would have let that even remotely get close to lapsing unless they had another solution somehow. Right. I can cite a pretty good example. Whoever's on SpaceX's in-house legal counsel really knows what they're doing. They watch those contracts like a hawk. They watch this stuff, and they're really on their game with this stuff. How do I know? Am I a lawyer? No. Is this legal advice? Absolutely not. if you go back, hey, I'm sorry, man. I'm just gonna say.
If I give you $1, if I give you $1, do I get I get to have whatever it is, confidentiality?
Yep. It's all good, man. Yep.
Nice.
So, okay, an example would be the human landing system, program. So NASA put out the bid for the human landing system, right? And they said, okay, we're going to try to get a lander on the books for the Artemis program. We need to get back to the moon in 2024. This was back, I think, 2018. So they put this bid out, and they put this solicitation out, right? And NASA went to Congress, who controls the purse strings, and they said, okay, we need like $2 billion for this program. And Congress was like, they pawn shopped them. They said, the best I can do is like $2 million. Yeah, there's not really a huge market for lunar landers. Let me talk to my lunar lander guy. No, they underfunded him. So here's where this is pertinent. So NASA said, well, all right, yep, saw that one coming. So they went back and they changed the nomenclature in their solicitation, in their contract for their their bidding process for the HLS program. Sorry, I'm not getting the terminology exactly right. It's a little bit late. Please,
How
please
dare
spare
you,
me.
sir? How
I
dare
know.
you?
For
I know.
shame.
I'm screwed. So they changed the stipulation and the criteria in the contract for HLS. What they changed was your ability to put a bid in for a human landing system that allowed you to basically funding match whatever your bid request is. So if, for instance, SpaceX put a bid for Starship, a human landing system, at like $2 billion, and they would front more of the development money. NASA changed the contract nomenclature to do this, right? SpaceX was on the ball. They immediately figured it out, and they immediately submitted a new bid. The other two HLS candidates did not. And how do we know that? Well, when NASA awarded the human landing system contract to Starship, the other two competitors, the national team and Dynetics, rightly so, they said, "Hey, wait a minute, you can't change the contract like that. That's unfair. You can't do that." And basically, they took NASA to court over this, more or less. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure. I can't speak if there was litigation or not. I'm sorry, but they went after him, and basically the ruling was that they're NASA. They can change the contract. They're NASA. What do you mean they can't change the contract? Of course they can change the contract. And that got SpaceX the bid for human landing system, because SpaceX knew they could match NASA's funding for the project.
Right.
So SpaceX, what I'm trying to get at is that whoever's doing the council over there is really sharp. They're just as sharp as any of the engineers when it comes to this stuff. Really on their game. Shout out to whoever that is. I don't know who makes that decision. But they're really sharp with this stuff. I don't think they would let a lease expire on a critical piece of Falcon infrastructure unless they had another plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Alex is saying in our back channel that Slick 40 has plenty of land and may fit a landing pad.
There you go.
So, there's clearly some options on the table here. Otherwise, like you said, EJ, they wouldn't have even gotten themselves into this situation.
Mm-hmm.
39A is pretty big too.
Yep. Yeah.
no
That'd be cool.
kidding.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Speaking of getting themselves into situations, they've signed an agreement with the Bahamas. SpaceX has to
This is
land
cool.
Falcon 9 boosters close to the islands. So who's going to the Bahamas for a landing? Like I'm so on board.
On location, I can be on location for that launch coverage.
Yes,
Are you
please.
sure? It seems like, oh, geez,
I know,
what a
it's
slog.
Don't twist my arm, please.
I'm sorry, which of the three of us is closest to the Bahamas? Cheaper airfare. Thank you.
He's got us there, I guess.
He's got us there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about that one other than that. Holy cow, that's cool. And I can't wait to see exactly where they end up putting these things down.
I got something to say. Am I talking too much?
No, please.
Go for it.
It's like, oh, great, here he goes again. No, SpaceX and the Bahamian government signed this agreement here to be able to have drone ships in Bahamian territorial waters during landings. Now, there is a little bit of a interesting precedent here that, I mean, Sawyer, you know what the Eastern Testing Range is, right? Yeah, no, maybe?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Eastern Testing Range is basically there. You could call it air traffic control, big quotations there, for anything that launches out of Cape Canaveral and by proxy Wallops as well, right? They're basically controlling the flight corridors for the rockets. And for the longest time, you could not fly over the Bahamas. No one could, because you don't fly rockets over populated areas. They wouldn't do that. Now, in the 60s, in the early parts of the 60s, I think it was in 1960s, they did have the polar ascent corridor that we've talked about here, where you could kind of fly out over the ocean and then turn the rocket south mid-ascent and then fly through that corridor between the Bahamas and Miami. And then by the time you're going over Cuba, it's minimal risk. They thought it was minimal risk until a Thor first stage went and landed in some guy's farm and killed his cows in Cuba in 1960. Probably not a good precedent to set there. Now, the range closed that corridor until SpaceX proved that it's a safe corridor for Falcon 9 to fly with their flight-driven data, right? So, not only would it be really cool to see, a Falcon 9 landing, from the shore of a beach somewhere where you're sipping on a mojito or something, that'd be pretty sweet, right? But also, no rocket has ever flown that corridor. That means that the range is opening up flight azimuths out of the Cape that have never been opened. No rocket has flown those before, which actually, I think that's actually really cool. It shows the confidence here in these reusable boosters from both the good people in the Bahamian government, the Eastern Testing Range, and SpaceX capability to make something that people are going to have confidence in. It's really cool. It's interesting times, for real.
Indeed, interesting times is...
Yeah, Digger, that's right. 50 years.
the most interesting of times. Are you not entertained?
Are you not into trains? Stop while you were here.
It was the most interesting of times. It was the most metal of times.
Yes.
All right, well... On that note, I think we'll start to wrap up here. Sawyer, you have a special announcement about something coming on Sunday, do you not?
I do. I don't know if you noticed, but there's this little thing behind me here to the pointing fingers. There we go. That thing. That's a space shuttle, right? We all love space shuttle here. Who
Yeah, I
doesn't
like
love
those.
space shuttle? And if you don't, well, I've got something that may turn you on to learning more about Space Shuttle, and that is the brand new Shuttle Sundays. This is a new series with Chris Bergen, myself, and I'm sure a bunch of other guests coming in through all these different episodes here, talking about the Space Shuttle program, some of the most exciting missions, some of the most nerve-wracking missions, some things you may not know, and going into the L2 archives to take a look at some of the photos and videos that have not been seen publicly, to share it all with you. That is going to be happening Sundays at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern on Space Coast Live, beginning this Sunday with STS-1.
Yes.
And not just STS-1, the early parts of the program too, everything leading up to that first initial flight of the space shuttle, which is still one of the craziest things, that the test flight for that had 2 people on board. So we're going to talk all about that. Sundays, 3 Eastern, 2 Central, on Space Coast Live. Join us.
Be there or be square.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Shuttle, shuttle, shuttle. Transport your space systems. Shuttle. One night only. Okay, yeah.
If you're not hyped now, I don't know what to tell you. Set your alarms, put it in your calendars, wake up your neighbors, open the windows and scream, I love shuttle, so you should watch Sunday.
Yeah, STS-1.
I'll do that.
Great test flight or greatest test flight?
Ooh. We
Greatest.
shall see.
I would go with greatest.
Yeah.
I'm
That's,
going to
Anyways,
say
that-
my opinion.
That is definitely coming up on Sunday, so make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell. You get a cowbell.
Is it time?
It is. Yeah, definitely make sure you're subscribed, hit the bell, because then you get notified for Shuttle Sunday and all the other things that we do. You can hit the bell, EJ. Hit the bell. Hit the bell.
I did.
Nice.
Can't hear it.
I didn't hear it. I can't hear it. I assume it's coming through for everybody. Really quick, Blake Alexander, thank you for the super chat. They say pun tokens for Sawyer's Eagles reference.
Oh, thank
Eagles
you.
suck.
Hey,
I'm gonna channel the Big Lebowski once again and say the Eagles suck, man. It looks like I
come
actually
on.
physically hurt Sawyer by saying.
Yeah, first off, when it comes to classic rock, especially the Eagles, I am not the new kid in town. But you really must be desperado to try and disappoint me today, because you're doing a good job at it.
Wow.
And seriously, even in the long run, you really don't like them?
He doesn't like living in the fast lane.
You know what?
Probably lost
you
his
guys
mind,
can-
Make
Sawyer.
you lose your mind.
You guys can
Yeah.
keep doing it. I'm still not gonna like them. Angela, thank you for the support.
All right,
they're
I guess I'll take it easy on you, and I may or may not have tickets to see the Eagles and coming up soon. So
Nice. Well, but also not nice because they suck. Anyways,
Damn, man.
Angela, just making enemies left and right. Angela,
Wow.
G, thank you for the support. They say, what time is launch tomorrow? That is 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep.
No. When is this Falcon 9 stream tomorrow? 3 p.m. Eastern time is Shuttle Sunday.
Right, on Sunday, but tomorrow's Saturday. So
Right.
if only there was a website such as nextspaceflight.com where you could look and see that liftoff is 4:59 p.m. Eastern.
There you go. And we typically go live an hour beforehand, so 3:59 Eastern would be when our coverage of that launch starts. Musical Wolves, thank you for the support. They say estimate of Starship launching in March. I'm going to say 50-50. EJ?
Yeah. Let's give me to the end of this month, and I'll have an answer for you.
All right. Deal. Sawyer?
End of the month. If it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be the end of the month.
I'll buy that for $1.
Well, someone decided to make some Big Lebowski references for a lot more than that.
Right. Really quick, though, William, thank you for the store purchase. They say dig in the flight test patches. We're glad you do. And Blake Alexander, wow, with a $50 super chat saying,
My guy.
well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
Which, by the way, I just realized how appropriate it is for you, the person who said, "Welcome to the Hotel Boca Chica."
Yes.
You can check out anytime you like, Jack, but you can never leave.
Oh, yeah, don't tell me something I don't know. Right. Well, and Jeff Rowe, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Bam! Y'all are the best.
Bam!
So, yeah, I think, what else do we have for housekeeping? Definitely follow NSF on all the socials. We have all of the socials. We even have a freaking TikTok, apparently. But yeah, that's at NASASpaceflight IG on Threads, at official NSF on TikTok. Instagram is NASASpaceflight_IG. Facebook is NASASpaceflight. And Twitter, of course, is NASASpaceflight for the Burgonator, actual, for his account, who retweets everything, so...
And there is some great short-form content there, just saying.
There really is. And whoever makes it is, I guess, all right or something.
Yeah, I guess he's fine.
Seriously, thanks for that, Sawyer. And then also, thank you to our launch directors and our flight engineers. Y'all get your name at the end of NSF Live episodes because you are the highest level supporters of NASA Spaceflight, and we appreciate you so much. We appreciate all of our members, but we extra appreciate our launch directors and flight engineers. Thank you so much. Cool. Well, EJ, as always, thanks for being on NSF
Thanks.
Live this week. It's a quality week, if I may say so.
It has been one heck of a week for spaceflight milestones, that's for sure. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you everybody out there that watched. It's a privilege being here, and I don't take it lightly.
Absolutely. Check out EJ on Twitch and all the other various places EJ is. You can see his info there. In the top right, EJ's awesome. You're awesome, EJ.
Thank you. You're breathtaking. Took me a second.
I am currently alive, so I think it's safe to say I am taking breaths.
Wait, did you not
get awarded?
Did you?
And Sawyer, thank you for being on as well. Always a fun time with you, buddy.
Thank you for having me on and sticking with me through all the crazy insanity and puns and jokes and references. Even though we actually do get stuff done and we do talk about some exciting topics, it's such a fun environment to do it with you
Absolutely.
guys, with the chat, who are always awesome, and of course a shout out to Jake.
Indeed. Shout out to Jake, best space cat around. Also, thanks to Patrick for operating today's stream, pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, running in the giant human-sized hamster wheel that makes things go. Thank you, Patrick.
Say something.
See Patrick's info there in the top right.
Say something.
And I'm Jack. Hi. Hello.
Hi, Jack.
I'm Jack's
thanks
complete
for-
lack of surprise.
Putting up with me. I don't know why you put up with me. Transfer tube!
Why are you the way that you are?
I don't know, but I am, and I apologize for it, okay? But yeah, you can see there's my info in the top right at the Jack Buyer on Twitter. If you want to follow me on Instagram, Neon Heat Disease, all the things. Click the bell, do the button. We're ending. It's over. You can go home. It's done. We're ending. Patrick, end it.
And here we go.
Chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FTE off. Say again, FTE off.
It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Décollage!
Amazing!
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed. We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.